What's up, everybody? This is the poker coaching study session. Today, we're going to be looking at
playing against the Maniac in seat 3. So first hand, this is my first hand at the table here, and he limps with pocket queens, okay. Brings in the king 10 offsuit, reasonable. I check the king 9. I suppose I could squeeze king 9 here. I'm glad I didn't. Flop nothing, check. He bets just 1 at this tiny pot. We both get out of the way. Next hand, I'll do a couple, and then I'll switch it over to you, Larry.
Sure.
He's got ace deuce suited. That's a good open. He opens to 2. Maybe that's going to be his regular size. We don't know yet. Folds around. King queen goes for a 3-bet. Sure. Everybody else should fold. Good. He calls it. It's going to go check bet. So we've seen nothing strange. Check. Nice big bet here. This guy probably really wants to see a fold before an ace comes. He's not trying to get max value from a king here. He's trying to get a fold.
Yeah, I agree. That's not ideal.
Yeah. I mean, you probably make a little more money, maybe a flush draw comes along, but you'd kind of like a gut shot to come along, rather than protect yourself so much. So just a smaller bet here.
Yeah.
This lowers your variance with this big bet, maybe. Well, I mean, it increases your variance when it goes the other way. I'll say on this hand, you're more likely to win the hand and you're more likely to make less money with this smaller bet. You want to make more money and increase your chances of losing the hand, smaller bet, you make your choice.
Agreed.
Third hand, and then I'll hand it over. So nothing's gone strange. Check, check. I'm going to raise to my normal 2.5. I get 3-bet by a 9-4 offsuit. I'm going to call and see where we go. There's the call. Flop an ace. Not happy, but not going to fold. He checks. I just check behind here. I want to give the guy rope. I am less afraid of giving a free card to a diamond here, which would be a disaster, because I could be well behind his 3-betting range. And I don't see why, if he has ace queen with no diamond, I'm going to try to go 3 bets and just get called by him. Let's at least let him bluff.
Would you call this well ahead or well behind?
Yeah, exactly. I'm well ahead or well behind. The problem is I am also really at risk when he has a bluff with a diamond. I'm really making this easy for him. But
Yeah.
It's a trade-off against the 3-bet. If he checks the turn, I will probably bet for value and try to get called by kings and queens, and at least charge a king that has a king of diamonds in it, or queen that chose not to bet. But he bets out, so this is really easy. I'm never gonna fold here to this 1 bet, and I'm never gonna raise. So that's simple. Here comes the king. He bets again. Fairly big. I think it's the same story. I lose to the ace king and the ace queen that doesn't have a diamond that check through like this, but I at least win against the 9-4 offsuit, which I see and immediately cancel any other table that I'm waiting for and go, I'm going to play at this table and only this table. So I shut down all the other tables at this moment, just from this 1 hand. I say, this is the guy I want to play against and I want to watch him. I want to be at 1 table. All right, you're up.
Was this how long ago was this session?
This is Sunday.
Sunday.
This week.
Okay.
That's why it's fresh in my mind, and I knew what I remember. I remember seeing that 9-4 and immediately, saying sit out next big blind on the other tables. It's like, this is the table I'm playing.
So this hand button gets to open. Ace 3 should be a fold, but I assume he's going to 3-bet, but we have a limp. It's very weird.
Yeah.
This is a really bad hand to.
Yeah, you could probably 3-bet this ace 10 small blind versus the button. That's probably the bottom of the offsuit ace.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So in this situation, I think his ISO is fine. I would use a little bit bigger. I would go like 5, 4.5.
5 even 5.5 I would go, but yeah, good.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today. So do you modify your ISO range to a limp? Do you modify the size if you're out of position versus in position?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you
I
say
add
you do
another,
like
I add another big blind.
Yeah, I don't do that. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
So okay, I think nothing out of the ordinary.
And if I'm up against people who seem to be sticky, I'll go even bigger on the combination of I would like to play the hand less often out of position And if I have to play it out of position, I would like to charge them more money for their stickiness,
Yeah,
you know?
makes
So,
sense.
so I'll go up. I'll happily go to 6 here. I probably won't go to 7, but I'll go 5.5 and 6. Okay, so there's the raise.
Yeah, I think, well, I'm not gonna limp this, so whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, go to post. Quite a flop. So if I ISO'd this, OOP,
Mhm.
um, ace high, I generally would see bet here. I'm gonna discount him having any ace X,
Mhm.
which I know is gonna call. I generally would see bet, small or to half.
Yeah,
I used to be pretty religious about half because that's what Jeremiah Williams does. But I think either's fine, but I would see bet,
yeah,
um, with my overpair advantage.
yeah. And this is a perfect, I mean, this is a great draw. You have a backdoor to the diamonds, you have the 4, and also the ace is probably good, and the 10 is probably good when you're not good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
not all,
I probably have pair outs. True.
yeah, yeah. So that's fine. And then it's also okay to check it because this hand can easily call a bet because you do have showdown value. So yeah, I would expect a solver to mix this. And then, so this is
Yeah, if
great.
we put this in, I would guess you're right.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, he's not folding.
Yep.
So I get called to my small bet. I can either A, polarize, or B, check. If I'm choosing to polarize, I have to get ready to barrel a lot of rivers.
Mhm.
Um, at this point, either is fine. Either you polarize and go like B75 to pot, or you check. Either's fine.
Mhm. So I'm going to argue against a polarizing here on a theoretical thing,
Mm,
which I don't, again, we don't know what the solver would do here. And it's simply this, you don't have the nuts here. The nuts is a 4 now with a 4-liner. And
yeah,
you have
that's
so
valid.
few 4s and he can have a 4. And when you can't have the nuts, you can't polarize. That's my theory thing.
I think you're right. You have a really
Yeah.
good point.
Yep.
So he
He checked.
checks. Gets his bet. Probably fold.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's a good bet.
It is.
He can rep he can rep the 4 with it. If he gets called by an overpair, he can choose to really put a lot of pressure on the overpair depending on the next card if he wants. Um, you could say, oh, this hand is a marginally made hand now, but not really against the other guy's range. It's really a vulnerable premium that he can also bluff as, that he can represent the nuts with. So I like the polarized bet from him.
You have a good point about range versus range too on a four
Yeah.
liner.
Yeah. And if he bets smaller, that'd be okay too. And if he checked back, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
But I like that bet. All right. Next one's you.
sure. Hero gets to open. Hero should raise and take it. But that's not gonna happen. This guy is a maniac.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you've already seen the showdown once with I don't remember what that first hand was.
9-4 offsuit,
Okay, so
big
now at this
blind versus
point,
button.
yeah, so your hand, I think, in theory, is four bet fold, but obviously you're gonna modify it against when you see 9-4 offsuit, this guy three bet.
Yep.
And so you're going to, but then this now comes down to do you four bet or call? Hey, Melanie. So this hand is an interesting one. I think it has qualities for both. Um, I think, frankly, out of position, I would prefer a four bet
Okay. So
because,
here's, okay,
go ahead,
keep going. No, keep going.
just because we're playing out of position. And I think generally out of position, we prefer to take it down pre.
Right.
Although that's quite an investment. But I think our preferred player adjustment here is that we want a four bet.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Looking at this, I'm not going to bother to look in the solver. My first thought is that the ace seven suited is one of the ones I'm going to fold here in a normal situation to a three bet out of position.
Yeah, this is a
And
normal fold.
right. The ace five I'm going to follow up with, and the good ace is ace 10, maybe ace nine, but seven and six and seven and maybe eight are all folds. That's just my picture in my mind, and I'm not going to bother to verify it right now. The adjustment I'm going to make against him is one, I'm not folding. And Melanie, the guy, villain three, we were on our fifth hand against him, but he's already three bet us with 9-4 offsuit and bet the turn and bet the river big. So we're not folding. And he is our total target here. We have no opinions of anyone on the table but villain three. So the reason that I do this, I remember it, is that I'd heard a sort of a heuristic, which is when you're playing against a maniac, you don't want to fight fire with fire. You don't want to try to out maniac a maniac. And one of the reasons to do it is they're better at it than you. They have more experience being a maniac. And the way you let the maniac make more mistakes is this. If I four bet here, he gets to fold all his nonsense, and not lose another penny with his later bluffs. And when he has it, because remember, maniacs get to have aces as often, I put in a ton of money because he's demonstrated himself to be a maniac. So I take the loss of playing out of position against him based on these other factors. I do not know which is more important, but that's the choice I made, and that was why. All right. So I've made the choice. We get this. We're going to just check to him all the time. This is your hand, so I'm
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I was answering a quick
Okay.
email. Okay, so all right, he's a three better.
Mm-hmm.
We called. He bets half. Qualities of our hand. So now we're just going up pure what we think our equity is, range versus range, right?
Yeah, record
And
and range
pot
versus
odds.
range, and knowing a little bit about how he plays.
Yeah, I think we kind of missed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think we got a fold. We missed.
Yeah. I
Okay, so
think
this is my argument for. All right, this is my argument for four betting, right?
Mhm.
So I just want to repeat. I think you have a really good point about not fighting fire with fire when someone's going to be much better at being cray than you are. So your point is let's not fight fire with fire because it's not our sweet spot. And I think that makes sense more in position.
Yeah.
But what was your second point? Because I got distracted.
I
Sorry.
don't let him make further mistakes. So when I fight fire with fire here, I allow him to play.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I see your point.
All right.
But
Because
I
this
think
is terrible. I mean, this result is terrible. But in reality, if you said, by the way, you not only are ahead, but you dominate his seven, would you like him to fold? I would say I would like him not to fold, please.
yeah, absolutely.
Now I hate the result I got, but so that would be the logic of it. And yeah, to the half pot bet here, we could continue with our backdoor and our over. But it's not a third part bet, it's a half pot bet, and I think he just gets to win.
Maybe the way to look at this is that let's look at if we were to just real quick, just a thought. If we were to choose to widen our range here
Mhm.
against a maniac, well, let's say we think he's got like a crazy 40% three bet range. We would probably make sense to look more closely at the different hand classes and understand which ones operate better as a
Yeah.
player and which ones operate. So I'm also asking these questions because I played someone similar live this weekend,
Mhm.
and I wasn't sure of my adjustments. I mean, my gut is that um, we increase our four bet range. I probably, if we looked at it more closely, we would decide which has become better as increasing our flatting range, which ones we just fold anyway, and which ones now we add to the four bet range.
Yeah. So maybe we'll look at that with this one, because while this hand would have played better as a four bet with this flop, looking at this, we prefer not to four bet him off 7-5 suited. We also don't know if he folds to four bets yet. We don't know how aggro he's going to get.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe you can bring up G2 Wizard. We can just look at like what our range is here normally, and then we can see where we change.
Right. So we're cut. Do
Do you think that's a what's the word I'm looking for? Productive exercise?
I do it real fast. I think it's not because we're folding this. I think that was the thing. So hijack.
Yeah, we are, but we can look at the range and kind of see.
Hijack. Yeah. So we fold out, and if we were to play these hands, we would only play them as four bets.
Yeah, so these I think are better as four bets because,
Yeah.
well, just blockers.
Yeah.
Blockers and playability, right?
Yeah.
So like ace nine to ace six, blockers and playability make them, I think, a better four bet bluff. Now, this range is, I think, going to fall into our four bet bluff range. Ace five, I think, can go either, just like it does in real life.
Yep.
And then I think now the value of our queen jack goes up. Like, so then out of position when you want to have more ability to continue, like I think like a queen jack, jack 10, 10, 9 become better as a flat. Maybe even like suited gappers like queen 10 suited. Like that area now I think becomes more a flat.
Yeah. And as we play against this guy more, because we also have to determine that his 9-4 offsuit, we have to see him do something. We have to see him. We only saw one hand, and we have to know that it's not a misclick. There are misclicks in the world. So
Yes.
we may be tagging him wrong. And if you get in that situation as a misclick, maybe you need to fire your way out of it the way he did, you know?
Yeah,
But
that's
against
valid.
the player type we're expecting, my expansion is let's four bet all the king queen offsuit in this situation.
Yeah, so I
Four
think,
bet all the ace jack offsuit.
yeah,
And I guess I'm saying let's call all the suited aces. You know,
I see your
that we
point.
don't choose to raise.
Yeah, I'm looking at it a little bit differently, but I totally respect your position here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And we just have to remember that even if we go into hands with better ranges, we don't have we don't get to win every hand, even against maniacs. Maniacs get to hit hands that we don't.
That's a very good point.
Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Let's not forget
Yours
that. We
again?
don't have to fight for every single hand.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. All right. So you want me to take this one or Melanie, or
Yep.
you want to do
You
it?
take two more and then we'll go to Melanie.
Okay, cool.
Or take one. Yeah,
So,
take two more.
so the other question becomes, I don't know if we have enough. So last night, this is Friday night, we was playing this Maniac. And so the thing for me, and I think this applies to, by the way, this hand can mix open here, so you can mix open. Well,
Yeah.
instead of spewing out stuff, I don't know how disciplined my conversation is going to be today, by the way. A bit
Okay.
delirious, but this hand can mix open. So the thing is, I think that also when you have an absolute maniac, I don't think it adjusts your RFI range, maybe a little bit.
I think it
But
should. I absolutely think it should.
Well, how should it adjust it, do you think?
Tighten up. Go tighter when he's got position on you.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have position on me on almost every hand. I can't get to his left.
So let me give you an example of a hand just
Yeah.
From Friday night. It's a very simple pre-flop decision.
Mhm.
So this this game was going on for a while. I sat down. I played with this guy a couple times before, and he's not. I knew he was known as a gambler.
Mhm.
And so I had like 9. This is like 9-handed. I'm like in UTG2. I open ace jack off.
Right.
And so I open ace jack off, right?
Mhm.
He is in like, he's in position to me, he's button.
Mhm.
So I'm already a little wide.
Yep.
But it's a chip EV game, so I'll make the argument. Okay, yeah, there it
You're
is.
not wide. UTG
Um,
two?
yeah, yeah.
You're
And
not wide.
then he three bets to, instead of going, so I opened to like $6 and won two.
Yeah.
He went to 30, $35.
Yeah.
So we would normally would say $20 would be normal, right?
Yeah.
You round up your 18, $20 would be normal. So he went to $35. So what are you doing there? I chose to fold.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
When the bigger their three bet, the more you fold, and basically you can think of it two ways. The more polarized that you respond to their polar aggression. But the way you make money from it is they're sticking their neck out too far when you have it, whatever it is. And let me tell you, Ace Jack isn't it. Now, if
Yeah,
they're going bigger and much wider, you have to decide which of those is the controlling thing. So let's say you've got somebody who's spewy as hell. His whole thing is power.
yeah,
So
that's what it
you
was.
raise, so you raise
He was
ace
sitting
jack.
on he was sitting on like a literally $1,000 stack at 1-2.
Yeah. Let's say this is his three bet range.
Um,
Okay. I'm just
yes,
saying
I think
I'm going
this
to
is
choose a
it.
guy.
I think it was this wide actually.
Yeah. So we choose a guy. This is the guy's three bet range.
Mhm.
And his three bets are 6x.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Against this ace jack offsuit, I would four bet it happily, but
Mhm,
I would so so if this is my raising range, you know,
mhm.
and that's because his three betting range is so wide.
This
So
looks a little tight. This is RFA here? Yeah,
yeah,
this is RFA.
just this R, just this R, this UT, there was a raise there. This
Yeah,
UTG
there
R.
we go. Now, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
If
okay.
this is my ROI and he's going that spewy, ace jack destroys that range. And so I can happily go over it.
Mhm,
If he's playing a somewhat normal button range, as his button three bets, somewhat
yeah.
normal. Maybe let's say he takes every one of these combos and does it 100% of the time,
Yeah.
including the bad ones. My ace
Mhm,
jack is not doing that well against this range, and he goes to 30, easy fold of ace jack.
yeah.
And also fold the king five, also fold all your bluffs because
Yeah.
you don't need to rebluff against him. So just take your value range,
Mhm,
you know, against this, which is,
mhm.
that area there, and say, great, you put in too much money, and and then you fold out tons. You fold out tons of where you would be. I'll put him in here. Because he's made it 30, you don't have to be there that much. You don't have to play any of this against a 30.
Yeah, so let's talk about how this range gets affected too. It
Yeah,
was actually it was closer to a 6x. It was 35.
35. Yeah, yeah, maybe.
So okay, the first thing is in theory, anytime we're putting more than 30% of our stack in pre,
Yeah, it's a jam.
we should shove.
Yeah,
Now, are you in agreement with that, by the way?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There
I
are
think,
rare exceptions, but
yeah,
I think that's a good heuristic. And I didn't get it as 30%. I got it as 33% as a third, but close enough.
yeah, right. So at that point now, so 30% of 200 is $60.
Yeah.
So he's gone to 35.
Yeah. So you're gonna jam over that.
So I don't think unless we're gonna play clever with aces and kings, I don't think we have anything but a shove.
Sure.
Are you in agreement, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
With that codicil of maybe we're gonna play cute
With
against
aces and
him
kings.
based on specifically how we've seen him. How have we seen him respond to four bets? And
So
shoves.
I
What does he do? What does he do with king 10 suited to a shove? If he goes, screw it, then we just shove our aces and kings.
oh yeah. And by the way, that's very quickly, that's what I did with them. So people were also limping in this game, it's your
Yeah.
normal live cash. So I
Yeah.
limped ace king off UTG 9-handed,
Mhm.
knowing that I moved to his direct left actually.
Yeah.
Um and so I limped ace king off, lots of limping going on UTG, some limps like one or two limps behind, gets to him, he goes to like 35 and then I made a joke. Said, this is where the OMC says, I'm tired of your craziness, and I shoved over it, and of course he called with king seven.
Great, just party. Yep,
Yeah,
that,
so, which is what you want, right?
yeah, that's perfect. You
But
know,
that's also a lesson too about what, so if he's gonna call my shove with a king seven.
Yeah.
Cause he's gambling, he probably knows he's probably behind. If he's gonna call that, then that also should adjust for that, knowing that we're gonna get a call,
right,
call off, right?
right.
Now,
But
we eliminate all bluffs
right,
over for that
yes,
range. And we
yes,
become linear AF.
yes. And again, and ace queen is probably in that linear shove range,
Agreed. But
but,
let's
but
get
we
back to
don't
the ace
know
jack
that
off.
yet. We'll say again?
Let's think about the ace jack off. What does that do to ace jack off? I think
At
it's
the
kind of like
point that we
in
know,
between.
at the point that we know that he calls king seven,
Yeah.
but we don't know that yet, then yeah,
Mhm.
ace jack is the nuts. This is just a, you know, you're playing a big game of chicken, and sure. But with this guy here, we don't know that yet.
True. And also
Um,
he's using a more normal three bet.
yeah, the normal sizes, right. So all we know is, we just know about how wide his three betting range is, that it includes 9-4. That's all we know. And we believe that that was not a misclick, but it could have been. We want a second confirmation before we nail down our assumption of him. And we'd love to see how he plays against somebody else. So far, he's only three bet twice, but it's been
Yeah.
just both raises. And it's only six, you know, we're only in 5 hands. We don't have, you know, we have incomplete information. But
Agreed.
this king six here, this is just something I know. This is, you know, I don't have to think about this. I know that king six is 100% raise in this position, and king
Mhm.
five and king seven mix. So it's not a mix for me.
Yeah. So,
But
so
I'm going to
here
consider
I
folding
think,
it.
yeah, that's what I was getting to. Yeah,
I would
here it
not
all
be
of a sudden
surprised to see
becomes
him
a
fold it.
fold because you can't defend it.
Yep,
And he
exactly.
decides to fold king nine here, which
Yep,
is
he does.
interesting. You think
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think a player like this would want to open king nine and cut off.
yeah, yeah. You would. And we don't know if we also don't know if this is like the last maniac we saw, that the fact that he lost the previous hand is why he went and did that to get his money back. We just don't know.
Mhm.
Well, we're gonna find that out now. But this king six suited, I folded only because of hit with only 5 hands on him. I chose to fold a king six suited. That was my first adjustment.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. You can't do anything else with
All right. Next hand. This one's also you, Larry.
that. Okay, sure. So, this should really actually just RFI raise and take.
Mhm.
3 raise and
7-8
take.
suited, it should not be a take. I should absolutely defend 7-8 suited.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Right. And now the question is, do I want to defend 7-8 suited to a 3.5? That's the only question there.
Yeah,
But
you're
then
right.
this happens.
This is a defend. So yeah, and I kind of want to do it. I think it's got so much value. Well, it's just the thing about these middle and low suited connectors is that in the end, it's really a little bit of bingo.
Hmm.
You're playing a hand with very, very high implied odds.
Yeah.
Um, and
And I think
so
this hand, oh, go on.
no, I'm curious what you think.
I think this becomes a trivial call now.
Yeah.
I think it was a correct call, even to 3.5. I don't think, I think you fold out your 8-6 suited at 3.5. I don't think you fold your 8-7 suited at 3.5. This is against the hijack. I don't, these ranges, I don't know. I don't know the ranges with the strange sizes. And
You
those
could
are
change this to 4x
yeah. Let's see. Let's get
or
to,
3x.
do I have a 3.5? I don't have the 4.
You
I have,
have to. Okay, that's fine. It's
where
3x.
was it? No, I don't have it. I think some,
Yeah, yeah. It's under 8 max, so this is good.
yeah, and I don't have the 8 max.
Yeah, it's fine.
Do you, by the way? Take a look if you do. But anyway,
I think I actually do, but let me make
okay.
sure. I'm looking at 8 max
Yeah.
chippy.
So you can see you can see how we tightened up here, that normally we'd be calling all the suited gappers
Yeah,
down
I
to
have
5.
it. You want to see it?
Yeah. Yeah, let's see the 3 point. Do you have a 4?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, let me see the 4. That would
All
be fun.
right. Share. Man, with 2 hours of sleep is going to try to focus on technology. get her done. Here we go.
There
Can
we
you see
go.
my screen?
I can see your screen.
So this is different because this is Chippy V.
Yeah,
We'll look at
but yeah,
live 10% next, but exactly like you said in this region.
yeah, yeah.
The other thing we're going to see here is that we really now are more motivated in equilibrium, as they say, to I think the three bet, right? So
Yeah.
so this region we're getting a lot. I think these are a lot more three bets in this region, the city connector region. At 4x, and we're gonna see it 2.5x. Hey, Skate, how you doing?
Yeah.
Do you want to? Let's just look at this real quick. Let's just. This is Annie. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know
Morning.
how this.
Morning.
I don't know how this
Hit
is.
the live. Yeah, just hit the live to 10% button.
Okay.
We'll see what.
Well, let's just look. Okay, so this is Annie. I don't know
Yeah.
what that gives us compared to
Yeah.
Chippy V. Actually, let's look. Same. This is
Yeah.
Chippy V.
It just shows the chip EV when we think.
Yeah.
Now, let's
Okay,
see.
live 10. He was hijack, right?
Oh my gosh, look at with live 10. Look at all
Hold
of them
on,
just
this
go
that's cut off.
away.
It's gonna get even more different.
Oh, okay. Holy jeez.
Yeah, this is, but
Oh
this
my
rake
God.
is not the rake you're paying.
Yeah.
I don't think you're not paying 10%.
No, no, I'm in,
You're
I
like
am,
you're like
yeah,
5%,
I'm in regular NL 50. I'm NL 100, which is close enough to NL 50.
which is like 5% with a
Yeah.
cap. So that's, it's a lot different.
Yeah. So, so looking at this is a 3. He went to 3.5. The 8-7 has a little bit of folding, surprisingly, but basically these are staying in there. Now you
Yeah,
add the,
I think this stays in,
yeah,
especially with what a range that you consider to probably
yeah.
be like
Okay. So I made the
50%
wrong
range.
choice here. My instinct was wrong in the technical thing. So we went from, I said, I'm gonna fold all my gappers and I'm gonna call all my connectors. And the fact that the 9-8 and the 8-7 do it a little less than these lower ones, fine, whatever.
Yeah, so
Fine.
that's just because of interaction with what his
Exactly.
RFI range is. I think we ignore that.
Right. Right.
Because
But
because his RFI range has nothing to do with the solvers.
but against perfect ranges, look at how interesting this is. Just I'm not going to learn it. I just find it interesting that you add this guy in and the 7-5-6-4-5-3 come back in and the 8-7 and 9-8 go away.
When you do what now?
You just add a call from the small blind
Oh,
and you get wider here, but the 8-7 goes away and the
yeah, I
10-9
can't
go
explain
away.
that.
That's
It just has to do with what, but
huge range
small
of direct.
blinds flatting range is 1% here, so it gets
Right.
really weird.
Right. And this range is wrong in the real world because he flatted with
Incredibly
queen
wrong.
10.
Yeah.
So this range made assumptions about the small blind range that are not true. So given
Yeah,
that
this is
those
very much
assumptions
a
are not
YMMB.
true, and that I don't know those, and I don't know, and I didn't know this in advance, this call seems just fine to me. And the fact that I'm happier to make it. Oh, this was 8-7, yeah. Yeah. Then the fact that I'm happier to make it with the additional guy in there, whereas I should be happier with 6-4 and not with 7-8. I don't care. All right, so I make the call. This is your hand again.
Okay, so we're multi-way. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead, Melanie.
No, this is yours, Larry.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Melanie's
Uh,
next.
Okay, sure. Okay, so you've got a very intriguing 80% of a straight flush. It should check to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing out of position on this flop. If, oh, I'm sorry, he's playing in position. If he was out of position, this is a pure check.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Is this guy going to check?
no, he's not.
No, no way. Not this guy.
So you gotta really, I mean, so in theory, this bet size should reduce your XR range
Mm-hmm.
significantly.
Reduce it to 0. Should I never ever check raise this?
I don't know, man. No, I don't think there's a never ever in poker.
Good.
I don't think there's a never ever in poker
Good.
ever. Okay, yeah, because you're just, so now so you know you have 45% against his ace, so you're really ready to go now, I
Yeah,
think.
I'm saying in what order do you want to play for all the money, my friend?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well played.
I was, yeah. And this is and this is different than saying, this is different than remember before I said, why fight fire with fire?
Well,
And
yeah, now you
in this
got,
case, I don't believe I'm fighting fire with fire. In this case, I believe I'm fighting fire with good poker.
I agree.
Okay.
So
That
let's see
sounds
what
like-
your size was here. Your size is big too. It's 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just saying essentially at this size, you're going with it.
Yeah.
This hand would have been interesting if you
Feel free
called.
to jam. I'm calling.
Yeah.
Um, and I could have, given that was the thing, I could have just jammed there also. I just, that doesn't feel like good poker to me against the whole range, even though for the hand it would have been fine.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
seems better.
I agree. Shoving is not
Yeah.
generally good poker.
Yeah.
Here.
But
I mean, you're just getting, with this much equity, you're just getting too much shit to fold.
yeah. Okay.
WPC.
Melanie, it's your hand.
Okay. This should fold to the small blind. Mm, Given that villain 3 just limped, I guess it's okay for the small blind to limp behind. And then it goes probably check from villain 2. Hero should check. There wasn't really a pre-flop razor, so
Yeah. It's not a donk.
yeah.
This is a
So
jump. This is a jump ball.
exactly. So I think villain 2 can start putting in some action. Maybe, okay, yes, maybe 2/3. 3/5. I expect them to call. And king 3, well, now they can also call.
Yeah. Without the spades, I think this is an instant fold. And with the spades, I think it's a think and then a fold.
Yeah.
But if I don't hate it if I call.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Fold. Okay.
But without the spades, I think it's a trivial fold.
Yeah. Okay. Villain 2. I don't know if villain 3 folds to overly large bets, then I wouldn't do it. But from what I've understood, he's crazy anyway. So maybe if we bet larger, he might still call. So if we do like whatever, like five big blinds, for instance.
I like 5 because a 7. I like 5 because a 7 can easily call the 5 big blinds, saying, "What are the your odds of a queen now go down?"
Yeah.
And it's hard to get more money from a 3 with anything but 1 big blind. And what's the fun of that? Yeah. But he either for his own poker reasons or specific to this guy, knowing that this guy is aggressive,
Checks.
he checks. We don't know what his reason is here. We don't know how observant he's been.
Okay.
But it doesn't work.
Interesting. Okay, well now villain 2 should probably just bet pot and hope he gets called.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure. All right. Next hand, this one's also yours.
So villain 4 should fold. Villain 5 should raise. Queen check. Yeah, you can call behind, but I don't know. Not
Before
that
we
great.
think about what he does do, what would you do and what should you do here?
Against such a raise, which is basically low under the gun. Wait, this is oh, okay, this is 600, yes. I would probably queen check. Yeah, I think this is a fold. I think it's a
Good.
fold.
Yep. And just to say this out loud, which is, this ain't no tournament. We don't have to play Louis' ranges. We're playing our ranges. And we can play correctly and well with a simplified strategy of raise or fold everything, against a raise, that we have a 3-better fold strategy in every position except for the big blind and the button. In a raked game, that is a reasonable, and you don't give up too much EV in a simplified strategy. And under a simplified strategy, this is a good fold here.
So yeah, so if everybody like if there's a raise, then I do 3-bet or fold. But
Yeah.
what about a raise and call, and then it comes to the small blind, and the small blind has like a nice suited hand? Can they call?
Yeah.
behind?
Yep.
Yeah,
There's all sorts of differences there.
Okay.
In GTO world, if it goes raise and call, the small blind can do a fair amount of calling because there's only the big blind to 3-bet him. But once it
Yeah.
goes raise, like call, the 3 blind, after there's a certain number of callers, the 3 blind goes back to 3-bet or fold in GTO world, but we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the idea that the big blind gets so incentivized by the fact that each successive call is weaker and weaker in their range. They're more and more capped, that he can jump in there and slam you off your equity, because all he has to really do is get by the first person.
Yeah.
And so there become none of them. But in reality, that isn't the case. That isn't how our games play. The big blinds aren't that aggressive. So if you're in there with a pocket pair and you want to set mine, great. If you're in there with a suited ace, great. If you're in there with Jack 4 suited, don't be there.
Yeah.
It's like, have your suited cards be connected, maybe gapped, but basically be connected or be an ace.
Yeah.
Don't do queen deuce there.
Yeah.
But and any pocket pair. So yeah, that's fine. That is a fine non-GTO thing that makes total sense. In my opinion, with my amazing win rate of 1.5 big blinds per 100. Let's remember who's talking.
That's more than mine. So
yeah, there you go. Okay.
I'm listening to you.
All right. So yeah, so he goes.
This after this race, everybody should fold. Exactly.
Good. Yep. Excellent. All right.
Should
One
I
more
be
hand?
doing this one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This should fold around to the button. And the button, in terms of the raise size, like in such a cash game, would you do more than 2.5, or would you just keep it at 2.5?
I play 2.5 in online 100% of the time, unless unless something has shown a reason to change the size. Like you've got somebody who's calling wide and he's calling big bets wide. I'm going to go a little bit tighter and I'm going to go bigger. I'm going to go up to, I'm going to open 3.5 and 4 if the person has shown themselves to be calling those sizes, and I'm going to open less hands. Against villain 3, I don't want to open bigger because I don't want to discourage him from 3-betting. I want him to 3-bet his 6-5 off. And we don't know why, I wouldn't do it I wouldn't telegraph my hand strength with it.
Yeah.
Or I try not to. Yeah.
And so in early position, would you also do 2.5 or 2.7?
Yep, that's what I do. I do 2.5 in all of them. There's a GTO one where you do 2, 2.3, 2.5. I don't have that one. But live 2.5 is too small. When the table is when the standard, let's say you're playing 3-5 and the table is raising to $25 on every hand. If you come in for 12 and a half, that is not good play because of how they respond to it. Because they aren't going to respond in the GTO in the way you're doing. So you adjust your range a little bit and you move to 20 big, 15, 20, 25. And I believe that this is not the mistake that Jonathan Little talks about, where he says, why are you emulating bad players? And it has to do with that the way they respond to a bet of 12.5 is everyone calls. And you did not play this game to raise ace jack off suit and get 5-way multi-way. So why are you raising to 12.5?
Yeah.
And you don't want to, and if you want aces, you don't want to be 5-way multi-way. So there are just so few hands that that you want to be 5-way multi-way, you have to stop opening to 12.5. But also you get to, they call too much. They call too much when you go 5x. Hungry Horse, his standard opening is 5x at a 5-5 game. You know, he opens to 25 and he's a good player. So there we go.
Yeah.
And Bart, Bart,
Chris Hansen.
no, Bart Simpson. Bart Hansen. Bart Hansen?
Bart Hansen, yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
correct.
And Bart Hansen was talking about that in one that, you know, that in live poker, the 2.5 size is generally not big enough. And the, you know, 3 is okay, and it's like 3 and 4 for the game. So that's a long speech to say that, no, I would open this to 2.5 happily and be perfectly happy to let the 6-5 make a mistake. Because if Villain 2 is paying attention to the way Villain 3 plays, and we don't know if he is, and this is his solution to keep this guy from 3-betting him, he's thinking wrong. He wants to be 3-bet when he has ace king.
I agree. I mean, I think his reason for doing, well, we don't know.
We don't know. We'll see. This could be his opening size. We're going to find out. We
But
don't.
Villain 4 should have defended right now.
Maybe not
that's a
to
tough
5x
one.
though. Maybe
Oh,
not
not
to
the
5x.
5x. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. What would you do with, at 5x, what would you do with ace 4 suited here? It's kind of a tough one, isn't it?
I don't know the guy. Yeah,
Should we look?
5x.
You
Larry,
wanna
look it up.
what we do
Yeah.
at 5x?
I mean, I guess it's instinctively. I think I would. We're 150 blinds deep. I think I would call.
So if we do this, I'm just looking at the ranges here. Do you want me to show them or just talk about them?
Yeah, just show them real quick. Show the 5x
Sure.
range. We'll try not to spend too long on it, but yeah, let's look at it.
Okay. Right, so this is live 10%, right?
Yeah. No,
so
this
he's
is, yeah, let's
mixing.
look at it at chip EV.
Okay, so the first thing is live 10%, just so we know. There's
It
no
doesn't even
flatting
have a call in
range.
the big blind.
There's no flatting range.
Yeah.
But let's look at chip UV, which is
This is
gonna
much closer to chip.
dramatically change it.
Yeah.
I think. Raise
All right.
here. Yeah, it gets in.
Okay, so we're still, so we fold the ace deuce that we wouldn't have folded before. And before we wouldn't have folded all this king. So at a 2.5, this king deuce and king 3, all these are playing. And now
It's
we go,
interesting though, because in this hand, you made a really good point in that we just don't know if this is like, he only does this for top of range. We don't know
Yeah.
if he's, I think the term is splitting range. We don't know if it's splitting
Right.
range yet. So maybe we can overfold initially.
Yeah.
So. I kind
so-
of want to call it, to be honest with you. I think
Yeah.
it's too good.
But- yeah.
With
But
no one
just-
left to act behind.
but just to show, here is the ranges that I know. Here's the button raising to the normal 2.5 and the big blind. And this is with a rake. This is with the NL50 rake. And you were looking at
He's folding
GPV.
60%, right? We're folding 81% here.
Yeah. I mean, look at all this king deuce. Look at all this queen deuce that plays. And then you go to Larry's range there, and it's only ace 3 and above. So it is dramatically different to 5. I just didn't know how dramatically. So yeah, so I think in the real world, this is a good call, especially if 5 is just their standard opening size, and then we'll see what happens if he splits range. So, but he folds. Don't hate it. All right. And this is, okay, this is Skate, you're up.
All right. I think King Jack could be opened. I'm not
Yep.
sure if it's partial or not.
It's
I think yeah,
It's
full.
full. Yeah, it's King
Little-
Jack. King Jack.
Yeah, I'm a little tight. Especially online. Okay. Fold to the button, and I think we're too low of a pair to 3-bet, so I think we're gonna do a lot of calling. And it's gonna be heads up.
Right. And
Should
what about
be
that king?
well.
And
King
that
7.
king 7 is not simple.
Yeah.
I think it's a good fold, but it's not. but it takes a little bit of knowledge.
A lot of people would call, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think the bottom would have to be somewhere around king 9, king 10.
Yeah, that sounds like a good instinct. Same rake.
And king 10 for sure, but like king 9, I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, we got the.
Mixed, I'm looking at it, yeah.
Okay, so I wanted his. Oh no, we want pre-flop only because we want to see it at 3. That was the trick. 100, 3x open. He goes. The raise came from
I think
inside
it's
the house.
UTG.
Right, UTG. That was what we were looking at. Here we go. Come on. Stop it. Okay. There's your raise. There's your button with 8s. Mixes like this. He goes for the call. No surprise. And now your big blind. You said king 9, right?
I said maybe king 9, king 9, king 10.
Yeah, good. Good guess and good adjustment. With the full, and let's just look at the difference with the button call and the button not calling. Because the big blind against the button, that call makes him way tighter. Here's your big blind. Look at that. Look at that world. You put in a button call, he gets so much tighter because he's out of position against 2 players. You put in a small blind call, and he doesn't tighten up near as much in the big blind because you're not out of position to 2 players. That is I think a real world thing for us to learn. It may not be this exact range, be based on what their calls are, but just look at the difference between being out of position to 2 players and out of position to 1 player, even though there are 2 players against you. All right. So king 7, good fold. Good fold.
All right. Board is pretty good for our range. We have a pair as well. Well, it's good for our range, so I think we're gonna. Can we check here? No. We're gonna bet.
Yep. And we can check here.
I mean, you're out of position, right? So to the button. That is a good point. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so here are the thoughts to have here. One is, do you want to have a strategy of checking range out of position entirely, like Hungry Horse has? If you do, then you check range and that's fine. If you want to play it more Jonathan Little style, we can look at this and say, we look at the board and say, is this a board where we bet 100% of our range? No, this is not a range bet board. So if it's not a range bet board against this guy, meaning that he has some queen and jack in his hand, then what does this hand want to do? This hand is a marginally made second pair, and it's not vulnerable because the overcard that comes is the king. We love the king, or the ace. We don't like the ace, but the ace gives us a gut shot. So if this goes check, we're not going to be that unhappy about the next card that comes off. So we can easily do this as a check call. This is an easy check call here. Now, you can bet it. In general, better hands are going to call and worse hands are going to fold. So he goes for the bet. All right, Skate, you're up.
Okay, they go. Okay, yeah, I saw a bet call. He called. I guess I mean, with 2 overs, player dependent, but 2 overs. I guess 8 starts folding out some on the flop, right?
Yep.
But they called, so we're on turn. I imagine since villain called, King Jack may check here, thinking may check, but they okay.
He goes for a bet that pointing out Larry's point. This bet is based on his hand strength. He is telegraphing his hand strength with this bet. He would bet bigger with a queen. That's what we believe about him. We could be wrong.
Yeah, it's way less than half pot. Well, not way less. It's about 4 bigs. Okay, I imagine that villain on the button should start folding
Yep.
now, but to the sizing, I guess not.
Mhm.
And the 10 comes on the river. Okay, I suspect now that King Jack will check straights came in
Mhm.
and stuff, so they did not. Okay, now they bet. So now yeah, eights has to fold.
Yeah.
It should fold, yeah.
Okay, good. Next hand, Tura. If you want it. I'm gonna hit ask to unmute. If you want to take it, you can take it, Tura. If you don't, then I'll go take this one. If Tura, if you come back in, let me also open up the chat here to see if Tura is typing. Tura, oh, Tura mute, Tura had a thing. There we go. All right. Larry says that's an 8 big blind win pre-rake monster. Yeah. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'll take this one. It should go fold. 8-7 suited can do some raising here, but it's like, 12.5%. He can do it or not do it. 3-5 should obviously be a fold. If it folds to him, I wouldn't be surprised to see him play it. We'll see.
Can
Queen
I
nine
ask
on
you
the
a quick
button.
question?
Yeah.
If you are playing online,
Mhm.
oh, it doesn't matter, and you have 8-7 suited here, in hijack, and you are not getting 3-bet a lot on this table, and you're
Mhm.
getting multiple flats behind, how does that affect how you're playing 8-7 suited?
You play it more and more. You're happy to have 8-7 suited multi-way.
Yeah,
As
so
long as
that was my thought. I
Yeah.
think it's, if you're gonna have a hand that you wanna take multi-way for implied odds, it's this hand class.
Sure. 8-7 suited and ace-7 suited. Yeah, great.
Right.
And 7-7. All those hands are perfectly happy to go multi-way. But if it was in this case, I would fold this 8-7 suited definitely, because I don't want to play against his. I don't want to play against his 3-bets when I don't have to. And since 8-7 suited is a hand that doesn't raise 100% of the time in the hijack, it's in the hijack. Yeah, in the hijack, it's 12.5% ish. So I just fold it. He goes for the raise, gets called. Crazy, there's the craziness. Seeing this, the 9-jack should fold, the ace-king should squeeze. The squeeze should take it because he should squeeze big enough to get this 8-7 suited to fold. Because that's not because he wants to, but because that's the size he should squeeze to.
Yeah, this is horrible.
Okay, great. 10-9 suited should 100% call or raise. Never fold here, I believe, in this multi-way action.
I
And I
agree.
like what do I like? I don't know.
You like
call.
Mondays?
I like Mondays. Let's call. But there is some squeeze in there, and he goes for it.
Okay, now, before we get back to ace king, what are you doing?
Oh, in the 8, what am I doing in the 8-7 suit?
No,
Or-
ace king.
Oh, jam.
Yeah, it's pure jam.
He's got 96 bigs. It's great jam. Oh, it's fabulous jam now.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
What a great jam.
Especially in a raked environment, no-brainer.
Right. And now look at what it takes to get to a V of 73. It includes plays like this. This is why when we had the discussion where they said with only 11 hands, you can't tell how people play. I think you can. And I'm not doing this backwards because I was playing the live against this guy. This was Sunday, and I was categorizing him as this kind of play. I didn't think he was going to go 3-5 this bad, but you just don't get to these. It's hard to get to these numbers to have hands that do this when it's that far out of the standard deviation. All right, we go ace king jam. Thank you. Well done. Fold. Nope, don't call. Don't call that 9-10.
We got some gamble going down.
There we go. Great. Okay.
Now, I don't think this falls into the range, the 9-10 suited. But,
Mhm.
and you don't know this guy's gonna fold. Yeah, you just fold this.
Right. But I wanted to show you one interesting thing. Let's say the 9-10 played it the way we wanted to and called. He just calls, and we get this flop. Who wins this hand?
Yeah, his range is really
No,
big
no.
right now.
No, who wins this hand?
If it
Villain
went
3.
multi-way, let me see it again. Let me see the
Villain
flop.
3 is gonna win this hand if 9-10 plays it the way we
I
say.
didn't see the flop. What was the flop?
There's your flop. He's not folding now.
No, yeah, you're right. He's not
It's
folding.
gonna, remember, this is the board. These are the guys, 8-7. So 8-7 is either gonna bet or maybe check. We don't know. He might be checking, for position. But if he bets, villain 3 is not folding a single pair here. We know that. He's calling here. The queen comes. These guys do whatever they do. Villain 2 checks the queen. We get to the river, and villain 3 wins with his 3-5 offsuit in a raised pot,
Mhm.
which would be so good for us because then he'd be on happy tilt. We would like that. All right. Larry, you're up.
All right. So hijack queen 10. I think this is actually in theory, this is a fold. He's not, there's no way he's gonna fold it though.
Nope. And there are slivers of it, by the way. You can raise it.
Is
It's
it
a
mixed? Okay.
sliver. It
So-
mixes with it's like 8.5%. It's nothing, but you can
So
do it.
this cutoff is okay, so he's gonna limp. So this hand's gonna get interesting fast.
Yeah.
Ace jack is a pure ISO to 4
ISO.
5. Okay, now this is gonna get really interesting. So villain 1 is a broken stack. Villain 5's out. Villain 1 now. SPR pre-flop is 6. He can shove if he wants.
Yeah. Shove. Great.
And ace jack should fold. Even I think ace jack
Absolutely.
should fold even at this stack depth. What do you think?
Absolutely.
I think ace queen becomes a little ace queen off.
Yeah.
Becomes a little bit more of a question mark. Ace jack, I think, is pure.
Yeah. Yep.
Pure fold. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice
Yeah.
hand.
The only thing I don't like about this hand is the size that he went to the 8. And he seems like he's going to the 8 either because that's going to be his size or because he knows this guy is willing to call large bets, right? He sees the guy call one and then call a raise and a re-raise. He goes, so I'm going to get maximum value with my ace jack.
Yeah.
And
And he just
so-
ran into it.
And then he just ran into it. But once he ran into it, he should have known that he ran into it.
Okay, so can we go back real quick? Because I want to just talk about two things that I think is important for everyone to
Yeah.
think about here.
Yeah.
All right, here. Okay, can we go back to where he faces the shove?
Yeah.
So here he's making a mistake. Or there's two things going on here which I think are important for me to reiterate because I make this mistake myself. Number one, his RFI size was too big, right?
Mhm.
That's his first more minor mistake.
Right.
His second mistake is sunken cost fallacy.
Yep.
So sunken cost fallacy means I've put 8 in, I might as well call. No, that 8 big blinds doesn't matter anymore. It's not yours anymore. It's in the middle. It doesn't belong to you, and you don't ever think about it that way.
Yeah.
It is part of dead money. It's no longer your money. It's over the line. Just fold.
Yep. Just fold. All right.
Sunken cost. I would argue, and I'm curious what you guys think. Hey, Richie. I think the sunken cost fallacy is one of the biggest errors that recreational players make. And I think that I think if you're going to choose something to exploit, it's sunken cost fallacy. And the way to do that is to check raise with your very top of range, especially on river with the nuts.
Yeah. The in for a penny, in for a pound. Playing against that.
Precisely. Yeah, it's a massive mistake and it's super common. And it's because you know what? It's very emotional.
Yeah. All right, Mel, you're up.
Okay. Villain 3 should fold. Villain 4 should open.
Mhm.
Villain 5 fold. Button.
Yeah, but this is what you don't need to go on. This is what happened.
What happened? Oh
He
wow.
jammed.
Oh,
He
okay, he
jammed.
jammed. Oh. Okay. In which case I would probably fold my ace 5.
Yep.
I would also fold king queen and obviously also king nine, and
Yep.
that's that.
Yep. Yeah. He does not want to play against villain 3. He decided villain 3 has a bad range. He went to 8 and it wasn't, and he got slapped back and he went, I don't want to be slapped again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's some emotion going on there. All right. Skate. Actually, Mel, take another one.
Okay. So this is a fold from under the gun, villain 4.
Yep.
It's 7. I don't think so. Maybe tiny opens.
Hmm.
Like a sliver. Jack 3 is a fold, ace 5 is a fold, queen 2 is a fold, and queen 6. That should be a fold.
Super fold. We expect him not to, right? Because you don't get to a V79 by folding queen 6 offsuit.
Yeah.
And you know, and again, if he's got a V of 30, that could be very random variations of the cards. To get up to V79, you don't fold queen 6 offsuit. So that tells us about
Yeah.
his. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I mean, villain 3 should check.
Hmm.
And villain 5 opened, so I guess they could continuation, but I wouldn't do it against this guy maybe, but not with this hand.
Mm-hmm.
But technically speaking, if I open and it's an early-ish position, this board hits my range very well. So I would continue to bet like third pot or something.
Sounds good. Larry, check one thing on this. I think that
Sure.
this 10-10 deuce is a range bet board for the hijack. I think the hijack can bet every hand in his range. And 8-7 is, relative to this board, 8-7 is kind of every hand in your range. I mean, it does have a backdoor flush. So if we're not betting every hand, we can bet it. It does have a backdoor straight, so we can bet it. It does have 2 overcards to the 2, so we can bet it. But I think we're betting everything. I just want to see if that's true.
Villain 3's in big blind,
Hijack.
right?
Yeah.
Villain 3's in big blind.
Oh, villain 3 isn't that big blind. Yeah, his hand is nonsense.
Yeah, sure, we can check
And
it.
this guy goes for the bet, and it works. And I like it. Skate, you're up. And then when you get a chance, Larry, just to tell us if that really is a range bet board.
All right, let's open ace king, ace queen. It's an interesting hand. Okay, let's open ace king. And I don't think we have like cold calls here in the middle, right? Before the
Nope.
button.
Not in our play.
No. No, right. So
Let me answer your question real quick.
Yeah.
Essentially, yes, it's 75% C bet.
Right. Okay. And our hand of 8-7 suited with a suit that's on there is one that bets, I assume.
It mixes.
No, with the suit, it mixes.
Ironically, it does not care about the suit. Maybe because it's
Okay.
paired.
All right, great. All right, it mixes, but he bet it. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
right. So this one is 30% fold and the rest 3-bet, right?
Yeah, let's see which one he does.
Okay. Sizing. It's okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit
All right.
big, but it's not,
Yeah. Okay. So
it's not poker coaching approved, but it's fun.
okay. So deuces may. Okay.
Yeah.
I think deuce is a too low a pair to call even to set mine because again you don't know what the blinds are going to do or what the original raiser is going to do. He might even 4-bet.
Yeah, you have no calling range here. There are no hands you call. If your hand is not good enough to 4-bet, you fold it against a raise and a re-raise, especially low jack, hijack. Yeah. So this is just that's just the thing to look at here. So raise, re-raise, The re-raise size is 8.5 in GTO Wizard. It's 9 in poker coaching. He went to 10.5. Okay, people get to play their hand wherever they want. But now look, nobody has a calling range. Not the big blind. Nobody can call. Against a raise and a re-raise, you have 3-bet or fold, and you are 3-betting the very top of the range. I mean, the best hands, not even Jack, and then a smattering of bluffs. Ace bluffs that block the aces, that block them from having pocket aces, hands that block the kings.
Yeah, you don't get to set mine.
And they are the same, and they have the same hand across the board. It's like these ranges, cut off, button, small blind, big blind are essentially the same.
Yeah, true. Especially coming from early, raise and re-raise, right? I mean, open. And then, yeah.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
Can I ask you a quick question, Scotty, about this?
Yeah.
And what I'm curious what anybody else thinks. I don't think we get to have a flatting range behind a 3-bet in real life,
Mm-hmm.
even
Yeah.
if 4-bets are almost non-existent in our game.
Yep.
I don't know. What do you think?
100%.
Okay.
100%. The only exception is if somebody does a 3-bet that's not really a 3-bet.
Yeah.
Like he goes
Yeah,
to
that-
2.5 and he goes to 4.5.
Or let's say you have a really good hand, and okay, this is kind of off topic, but you have an almost certainty that someone will, re-raise, right? So you can flat with
Find a
some
trap?
good hands.
If
Yeah,
you have pocket aces
trapping.
and if you have pocket aces here and you see this guy gathering up his 3-betting chips and you've watched him and you know that he is not someone who does that as broadcasting a tell. Because there are people at the table who do not try to conceal certain actions because they don't care if you know. There are people here with ace king who want you to know that they're going to jam because they don't want anyone else in. And they are prepping their all in and they are going all in. And you've seen this because you've never seen him do any of that weird stuff like where you pick up a bunch of chips and then call with them. He's
Yeah.
just counting out he's just looking at his own hand and counting out his 4-bet chips. And you've got aces. Okay. Sure. But then again, you could also say jam your aces, get called by him and play it heads up because you'd still rather take aces heads up for all the money against one hand than two, and certainly against three. So
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. So there
Good point.
there's a bizarre exception, but just in general, that idea of you are after a raise and a re-raise, especially from low jack cutoff or earlier, nobody has a flatting range until you get back to the low jack.
Yeah, and also if I was like the same stack depth as villain 5, I would care less if he called. I'm losing less money.
Yeah. So there we go. He plays it right, and I expect this guy to play it incredibly wrong.
Okay, sorry, so man. So yeah, of course we're gonna fold the blinds. We're gonna fold all the blinds. Ace King here. I don't know what he's gonna do, but I'm guessing he will either call or jam, right?
Yeah, I like jam.
Call or jam.
He could go to 30 if he wanted.
As well as
Technically, it's not too small.
Yeah, true. I mean,
I would jam.
Ace King. Yeah, considering it is Ace King off, you probably can jam more of of that combo versus suited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
you have a
so
really good point differentiating here between suited and offsuit.
Yes.
It's really only 3% equity,
Mm.
but it also has a lot to do with how your ability to continue. So I think, yeah, we see it here in
Mhm.
in reality, in theory. So yeah, I like, it's good that you're thinking about that, man, because you wanna be able, you're gonna 3-bet here with the suited variety and with the offsuit shove.
Yeah. And notice the offshoot has this little bit of calling here against one player. Once this guy comes in, I think that calling goes completely away. And you're just jamming. If GTO allowed us to put in a call here or here, I believe this green goes away. Because this guy's capped. So he does it, he goes 38.
Mhm. Yeah, so villain 5 has pretty much told the strength of his hands, and ace queen can comfortably fold.
Yeah, and Richie says, looking at this, all in gives the weaker player an easier choice. It allows him to play correctly. Yep. And then he goes on to say, and the 4-bet also allows that makes them make a mistake and signals to the good player you're ready to go all in. Yep. To this size, the ace queen should fold to this 4-bet.
Yeah, Richie, I think you have a really good point. I think the one thing to think about that's important here is if you're in position versus out of position. I would
Yeah.
say this is a much easier shove out of position. In position, I mean, you could play in position to this, big pot.
Yes.
All
All hail King Richie, the best poker player at the table, the best poker player in the group.
right. Yeah.
That's what the 4-bet non-shove does.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is where it gets weird.
Yeah. Whose hand is this? I think it's
Skates.
a Skates. You're back on Skate.
All right, so king 8 called?
He called.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm guessing they're gonna check out of position. And
No,
they shove. Wow, ace king is really gonna fold?
I don't know.
I think they're gonna fold.
No good.
Okay, good. I got a spade too, so little 1%.
Right. So if you're going to play as bad as King 8 is playing, I think that's the right thing to do.
I mean, also, yeah, I mean, having the ace of spades, it's
Yeah.
it blocks them shoving with their ace combo. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So at this moment, Tura, you're up next if you want it. And after that, it's Richie. At this moment, Scotty, seeing this, sits up in his chair and goes, "Oh, well, I guess we're done for the night." But then, and goes and probably hits the sit out next big blind button.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Tura, do you want this hand? Yep, this one's yours.
I'm ready.
Okay, go.
King 10 suited opens, 6-9 off folds, 5 jack folds, 8-9 folds.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But then we get this bizarreness.
Yeah.
Okay.
On,
So,
onto the flop or what?
yeah. So now we get a flop.
I think I'm pretty much checking range here.
Okay. So this is a perfect check range against the big blind. Against the button, it's different. But sure, he checks. Great. What do you want to do with Jack 5?
Yeah, okay. I want to check it back. Or
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I want to bet it's so bad here.
Um,
I want to bet it's so bad.
the board
This
is so good for my range. Maybe
yeah.
I
Well,
could
not
bet.
the 3-4-5 is actually not good for it's not particularly good for your range. It's not particularly good. He has a 6-7, you have a 6-7, you
Yeah,
might grab a little bit more than him.
He doesn't have it 100%.
Right, he doesn't have it 100%. But for your hand, this is, when you go in with Jack 5 suited, this is about what you can hope for, and it's incredibly vulnerable. So I think you got to bet. And he does. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm just calling.
Okay. Great. He goes for the check raise. Totally reasonable. Also,
Okay. Yeah.
check raise a draw. Sure.
I'm calling with Jack 5.
Yep.
Now a 9 doesn't change anything, so with King 10, I guess I wanna continue barreling. And 5 Jack now is in a tough spot.
Yeah. If it were you, what would you do? You're actually, well, you
It's
wouldn't be here
probably
with Jack 5. You wouldn't be
player
here with Jack 5, so I
depending.
can't answer that. What do you think he should do is the only way to say it.
Well, I wouldn't get myself into that,
Yeah,
but
exactly. You wouldn't need it.
I guess you can fold now, or
Yeah.
I'm either way.
I think it's a good fold. Yeah, got a fold there. Okay. Richie. You're up, Richie.
Sorry,
So what's
struggling to unmute then. Yeah.
right?
Okay, what are we doing? So nines are opening and
What did
aces
10-8,
are
but what
three
did 10-8,
betting.
what did 10, but before the nines opened, what did the 10-8 offsuit do?
Oh, it folded.
No, I unclicked my sit out next blind. Then I folded.
Okay.
I went,
Oh,
we're
because the
in.
guy's back, the person's back in. Yeah, I see the
That's
80%
right.
guy person. So nines obviously open, 3-8 calls probably. Aces, three bets.
One important adjustment is now you've also realized that villain two's RFI is always 5.
Yeah, we saw his
Okay.
5 RFI
I was about
before.
to say I wasn't aware of that. Have they
Right.
adjusted because there's weak players in or
What we don't know is this. We don't know if he's playing 5 big blinds as his standard opening size in every game, or if this is his adjustment because villain 3 is here. But it appears to be how he's
Okay.
playing. Yeah.
okay.
So with that extra 5,
Yeah, so I'm assuming villain 3 is going to call with 80%. Yeah, okay. Aces should, 8-3 obviously folds. Aces should 3 bets. They should go, what would you say? Probably 25 bigs minimum, really. Is it? It's quite a large open already. 20 bigs, maybe. The thing is, you want to try and induce the villain 3, and you want to not necessarily, and basically get heads up with villain 3, right? You don't want it villain 2 involved taking some equity, even though obviously ace is the strongest opening hand. Multi-way it becomes weaker as any other hand does. So 20 bigs minimum, yeah. If you think
Yeah.
villain 3 is going to call 25, maybe 25 still reasonable, but yeah, 20 bigs minimum. They just call. I disagree with that because you're
Totally.
leaving money on the table and
Totally.
also letting people take your equity.
Exactly.
Unless you're expecting villain 1 to do something who actually does have a wider VPIP, but is it an
Mhm.
aggressive VPIP? What is it? 38. It's semi-aggressive, right? But how many hands is it? Only 17, is it?
17.
So it's
Yeah.
small
Yeah.
sample size.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't like this. Yeah, they should have raised. So I guess in villain 9's gonna call as well, being on the button, closing the action, suited. And yeah.
But he goes for the squeeze.
Wow, nice, fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you only have 17 hands on him, but if you look at this and you go, he's had 8 opportunities to 3-bet, and he's taken all of them. I mean, and he's taken half of them. That's not
Oh,
bad.
okay, yeah, I did notice the 3 bets. Yeah,
Yeah,
fair
his 3
point.
bets at
Okay, yeah,
50.
so ace, yeah.
Yeah, and so when people say
Okay.
that, that a 3-bet, that the 3-bet stat isn't reliable, you go, it's not reliable. But when you have 8 samples and he's managed to find 4 of them, he's wide in his 3-bets.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
It's hard to have 1 out of 2 legitimate 3-bets go that many times. That's more than heads 4 times in a row. This is several standard deviations off. And wow.
Yeah, well, aces are happy. I still don't know if I agree with their play because I do get what you're saying, but there's just so much opportunity. You're taking this full way and absolutely nuking your equity. So 9 should probably fold now, but you could understand their consideration to call because they've had flatters behind, but it's just they're not in a great position. So I would fold this for the size.
And they're
probably going to call.
They are theoretically closing the action, right? The 9s believe that they're closing the action.
Yeah.
So
because they think other people are either going to fold or call. I get you. Yeah.
So couldn't be
but
terrible.
No,
Not
I would still. Yeah. 3-8. Well, I'm guessing they're calling. They called earlier with size. Yeah. And aces now.
He's back.
Oh, it is. This is a different situation to the
Old
way I gave earlier, right?
Right. Now
when I said doing a small 4-bet, it's a case of it's basically a shove here, even a small 4-bet. So Yeah, it really depends. Call in is still weak, so it's shove. You could potentially go really odd with your four bets, which is I don't think necessarily good, but against this 3/8 who's just crazy, maybe because you want to get them pot committed. So maybe you just click back and go like, what's the min click back here? Is it 50, 60 big blinds?
It'll put you, min click back would take you to 55.
I kinda like it. I
You know,
kinda
which
like
is
it.
basically committing you. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe because this person 3/8 and go, it's only 25 more, right? And the king 9 will be like, okay, wait, this person's potentially trapping me, but yeah, I don't know. Because again, you shove, you're giving both of these people who have got wider ranges the opportunity to fold. You know, you're taking a high variance line though, right? Because if they do both call, they've taken your equity, but you're still strong. I don't know. I think I like the click back. I wonder what they do.
All right, so all of that makes sense. Here's gonna be my argument against it. Doesn't mean my argument's right, it's just the other thing I want you to consider, which is this. There is no sizing that you can raise to that you can be comfortable saying will signal to villain 1, you need to fold, even though I'm giving you an incredible price, that will sucker villain 3 in.
Yeah.
Because of that order. So if you try to keep villain 3 in with your small sizing, you are very likely, not 100% likely, but very likely to get both of them. So now I give you a choice. You can get both of them in and let them see a flop for, you know, for a guarantee of 50 big blinds more that you're going to get 25 from each of them, right? Or
Yeah.
you can go all in, take all this dead money, and either take all this dead money with no risk. Remember, aces
Yeah.
own all the equity, you know, 25% equity out there. You can
And
take all of
also,
it now or cause them to make the maximum mistake.
yeah, there's the opportunity. Well, there's no rake back as well in a lot of games for pre-flop action folds in there. So this would be zero rake, not rake back.
That's a really good point.
So yeah, there is that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I
Richie,
think in this game, this game doesn't have that. This is 8% rake. I think the flop
I
doesn't matter.
think you are not paying rake free. I'm gonna confirm.
Are we? I think we're playing rake free.
Okay.
But I think, but we'll see.
So you could potentially take 70 as it is now with straight fold out, fold equity. But if you take the high risk, higher variance line, where letting them both in, you have the opportunity to take another 170.
Right. But
So
you own 75% of that 170 and you lose 25%. I mean, that's the math right there. If you want to take a minute, let's do it. Let's do the actual math here on this thing. But also this 25% equity that they share, this is optimistic. This is because they share their suit and we have the ace of their suit. Give this guy
and we're
9
seeing their
clubs,
cards up.
this
We
guy
wouldn't
3/8 of
know.
spades,
Yeah.
and it starts to get ugly.
Yeah.
So I'm not even
Yeah.
going to do the math. This is like the best you could be against. I mean, yeah, it would be better if you dominated one of them. It'd be better if, they were ace 9 and ace 8, and and if they had to be suited if they were the other suits, but still.
While you're setting that up,
This is the worst play of all.
yeah, this is not good.
Just call in, yeah, no recall.
This is
It's either some form of raise or a shove.
He's the out of position player multi-way. Yeah, this is awful.
That's.
By the way,
I don't
Scotty,
even
you are
think
not
about
paying rate free.
Yeah.
So I think this becomes a shove.
Okay.
Genius. This ace is absolute genius.
The worst.
I know. Interesting. But the problem is, right, they're unlikely. Actually, they're very under-rep. They've called, but I was about to say they're unlikely going to get action, but they're under-repped and these people are a bit wild. So maybe.
I hope this flop comes 4-5. I mean, the turn comes 4.
So ace is checked, king 9 checked. Did I see? And it's on the 3/8, is it?
Check.
And then they check round. Okay, they're going to want to try and get some form of action now. They're happy to maybe see the 2s because it gives a flush draw as well as someone who potentially had trips, but they've got the top full house. So yeah, they would probably, I would do some form of bet here. I wouldn't go too greedy because again, you've got these people behind. No, I don't like checking. You want to even just try and do small to get
He's
some
got to be
people.
playing villain. In his mind, he's got to be playing against villain 3. He's got to have
Okay.
seen the 9-4, that his whole thing is against villain 3 here.
Yeah, and they've checked, and now he's missed two streets, and they've just hoped something comes in here now. So I would have already bet small on the turn before to try and get something in. So here, you've either got two options: you bet small to hope someone goes over the top of you who've got something, or you bet big hoping someone's already hit it. Both of them have checked through. I feel
Right.
like someone might have bet something if they had anything. So I would bet small here just to try and get a bit more, maybe 10 to
There's one other
20%.
option.
So you're looking 9 to 20 big blinds. What, checking around, do you think again,
No,
is
no,
it?
there's one other option, and I'm serious about this. Betting one big blind because it's funny and because
BSTI all time. I'm with you.
except because checking is not the same BSTI. Because if you check, they can check behind. If you bet one
Yeah.
and people have to fold to one big blind here, it's insane.
Some
It's an
people that- yeah.
insane
Yeah,
thing.
that's true.
But there it goes. Well played, aces.
Check.
Could
I think
not
if you're
have
going
been
to, if you're going to use a BSTI, this is your spot.
Yeah.
What was the pot?
91.
Or pot's 95? Yeah, like, put it like, I don't know how much difference one big blind or 10 big blinds is, but.
No, it's not. I'm not advocating a real one big blind here.
Yeah, I think this
saying-
is, if you ever, I think you use a BSTI here.
Yeah, you just don't be here.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, they shouldn't be there.
This is just the worst play of the aces there. All right. There we go.
Because yeah, they've basically done a shove before and got everyone to fold, right? But I've paid the rake, the extra rake, I guess. Is
Mhm. Yeah.
it? That's basically the same as what
Yeah.
they've done here. It's just it's not very good.
Right. So that happened. All right. We've
Yeah.
whined about his play enough. Skate.
All right.
Well, Skate has whined about his play. Let me see. Did Skate say something about it?
What?
I'm just seeing if Skate said, I like the risk here. And by the risk you mean doing the minimum big blind. You mean min raising him.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot better than what he did. Okay, you're up.
Right. I think this is going to be a blind versus blind configuration. So, yep. Ace Queen 3x.
That would be good, but it's not going to happen because you don't get to V82 by folding 10-9 offsuit.
Oh, 82. All right, the 82 guy. Well,
Yeah.
true. He might open. So let's see. Yeah, he does. Okay, so I think Ace Queen here versus hijack. We're gonna see some 3 bets. I think.
3-bet. Yep.
Yep.
Damn good.
And obviously big blind is gonna fold. Should fold. Back to 9-10. They're gonna call all day here, especially with the connector.
Yep.
So
They
let's
should
call.
fold, of course. But
Yeah, they should. Yeah.
yep. But having done that, there they are.
Should fold. 9-10 suited, I would probably start calling. If they had 9-10 suited, you could probably call
Yep.
that 3-bet, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so they has a pair. They're not going anywhere. Ace Queen first is okay. We're out of position. This board is not exactly great for our range, right? I mean, we do have the ace of diamonds.
Mhm.
So, but still, I think we're gonna see a lot of check. Can we bet? I don't mind it.
Yeah, we can.
Especially having the ace of spades, ace of diamonds.
Yeah.
All right, 9-10. Yeah, like I said, they're not going anywhere. They're gonna shove.
That's like a gift. He's giving villain 1 a gift.
Yes.
They should call. They shove. Which makes villain 1 play more correctly by folding here.
No, villain 1. So there's that. Villain 1 is, having seen this guy, villain 1 is not having any of it. And
All right.
we of course desperately hope that villain 3 wins this hand. We want villain 3 to have chips.
Oh, no.
Then he bets. Villain 3 is not folding.
Yeah, they're not folding.
Yay.
Yay.
Hero is thrilled.
Hero is thrilled. At this point in the night, I believe that there was, I think this is about 7 o'clock, and there is a poker tournament that I play with just a group of people online, who I know. So it's local friends, but it's an online tournament that started during the pandemic. And I now open up that window next to it, and I'm playing that while playing this, which normally I wouldn't do, both because I don't tend to play two tables at once like that, and I try never to play a tournament and a cash game with the different ranges and thoughts at the same time.
Yeah, it does break your brain, doesn't it?
It does, but that group of players I have history with, and I want to play with them, and I am not leaving this table. And that was about that moment. I remember that hand, and I went, well, not leaving this table.
What's the buy-in for your friend
30
tournament?
bucks. 30
How much?
bucks.
30
30
bucks?
bucks, 30 bucks, no rake. Up to 3 rebuys.
How many people you got?
Usually about 15 people play.
That's
A little
fun.
thing. 15, 18 people play. Yeah, you usually get 6, 7, 8 rebuys. Often it's the same 6, 7 people who are in the final 5,
What
Not-
site do you use out of curiosity?
What?
What site do you use
Poker
to
Stars.
oh,
Poker Stars.
on the play money side, right?
On the play money side, yeah. Works well. It's a good thing. Good system. It works for that. All right. That was Skate. Tura. You have a hand if you would like it.
A6 fold to small blind.
Exactly. But that doesn't happen when you've got with a VPIP of 83, you don't fold this.
Hero's in a
now
very interesting place.
I'm in not in a trivial spot here. I don't know what to do here. I still don't know what to do here.
I would probably just flat behind.
Yeah.
I think
what I did is I thought about it and then I went, yeah, skate's not wrong. Folding's not wrong. But this guy's limping range is so bad. And ace-5 is so far ahead of his limping.
Yeah.
Range. But I'm going to be out of position to, yeah. I think I flipped in half a chip and went, which is probably not right. Yeah, we do a lot of folding. Yeah, this is bad. Oh, good. No, I did do that. All right. Excellent.
I would have probably actually against this player done 5 blinds, right? Because the queen 2 will then let you know their hand strength.
Yeah.
And then the a6 again,
Sure.
wide range, you don't have a clue. So
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable to do ace-5 here. You're widening
and
a little bit against them, which isn't the best. But
you mean complete or do you mean raise it? Which one?
so I would well, it's a raise, isn't it? Because you're not.
No, he's
just
completed.
calling, right?
He limped, so
Oh.
I have the option of flicking in a half a chip or raising to 5.5 or 6. Which do you want? Which of those are you talking about doing?
Yeah, about 5.5, I'd raise. I
Okay,
wouldn't
so you're saying
complete,
take the
I'd
raise. All right.
Yeah.
That's not wrong.
Because you get more information from villain 2, and then
Right.
again, ace-5. They unfortunately have you dominated in this situation, cards there, but you've got ace-6 in theory can be weaker than ace-5 because you've got the possibility of a straight, right? Ace-6
Yeah.
doesn't, but most of the time this person's range is so wide that they wouldn't have you dominated. It's just in this situation you can, but obviously then you play in our position, you play a bit safer, but at least it would be better to be heads up rather than 3-way where it could go crazy. And then if queen 2, if big blind had something big, they would probably let you know and maybe raise you, or if they call, you can tighten their range a little bit, right?
My thought process was, and I was very unsure of it, was I think that this plays better as a raise than as a call, being out of position to 2 players. All the reasons you said. When I raise this, he's calling to any size with all of his hands. We know this.
Yeah.
I can raise to 20 and get a call. And because I can raise to 20 and get a call, at some point, I'm going to be here with a hand that deserves to be 20 and gets a call. So I'll just skip this and wait for that. I have to play out of position to him. So I'm going to be, even though his range is wide, let me have hands that are never dominated.
I think you have a good point.
Yeah. They're going to be so much.
I think that's reasonable as well.
I think.
Where's your offsuit ace-x ISO range start?
Ace 10.
I think that's a good call. Yeah, ace ten.
And ace nine, I just go, really? Should I, am I gonna, no, am I gonna? You know, ace nine, I'm gonna waffle on
Do
ace
you ever
10,
use a, do you ever use a randomizer?
not against this guy.
Okay. I would, if I were, if I had ace nine off where you were, I would randomize.
Okay. And
I was
then
gonna
we'll
say,
go on with the,
my range here is probably slightly off because against this particular player, right? This is all I'm doing it against the limper with this stupid range, right?
Yeah.
Ace five would be in there. Ace six wouldn't be. Ace seven wouldn't be. Ace eight, maybe ace nine, and then ace 10, right?
Okay.
Is in offhands. Basically, all ace suited I would open,
okay,
but
Yeah,
off.
I could
think
totally
ace
see your
five-
argument for ace five off here, Richie. I think you got a really good
Sure.
argument.
but I think ace, I
It's
think,
just this player.
Yeah.
but here's my argument against the ace five there. And then let's move on. Which is that the power of ace five offsuit as a raise is its bluffing power. It blocks his, it blocks his best range. It blocks his pocket aces. He has to fold so much. Well, when this player calls 100% of your raises, I think that ace five goes tremendously down in value.
So I'm not expecting him to fold, right? I know he's 100% going to call me, and I know probably a lot of the time I might lose these five big blinds to it because I'm not going to be able to find my equity.
Right.
But I'm playing for, what is it? I'm playing for potential. What's it called? I've lost the phrase. What I'm looking for, the potential of earning off this person, right, from
Yeah.
a straight or a two pair.
Yeah.
And I'm also, let's say, fattening the turkey. I'm happy to lose this person. I'm happy to keep this, show this person a little bit of action and
Okay.
get them to play right and have, they can win a five big blind pot off me. Fine,
Yeah.
take it, right?
Okay.
I'll play with you later and then hopefully get that back plus more, right? But
Yeah,
this
that's
time
fair.
I'm looking for more. So I
Okay.
would guess it is I'm entertaining them as well. I know what most of the time I'm probably going to be losing five big blinds here, maybe even slightly more. I'm not getting stacked here with ace five is what I would say.
Right. Okay.
Comfortably. Never
But
say
he's
never.
gonna get, but he is gonna
comfortably.
get stacked.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's gonna get stacked with one pair. Okay, great. That's all. That all makes sense. And Skate says fold, and I'm fine with that. There we go. All right.
Okay, so I've seen what the villain 2 does. So now with ace 6. Raising is reasonable, but I think I'll just call.
Yep. He's gonna raise, we expect, given how he plays. Yep.
And then villain 2, I would just fold queen deuce.
Yeah, I would too. Even to him. Even to him. But he doesn't.
Now queen deuce should check. And a6 I would check back.
Yeah. Queen deuce owns every four that he started with, he still has. He has 7-4 offsuit here, and he has 8-4 offsuit here. He was never raised. That's a good check. And I am not in the hand, thankfully.
Villain. I'm guessing villain 2 could start bluffing once villain 3 checks behind.
Mm-hmm.
He's really capped.
Yeah.
He never has a straight.
Never has a straight.
So yeah, bluffing would be reasonable, but yeah, I don't think you ever win with queen deuce. So if we were to bet, I think we have to go big. Like
yeah, we have to go really big.
Pot or more.
Right.
I would go just pots.
Yeah.
So he checked, or
Yep. He checks. This guy goes pot.
I think this is way too big.
Yeah.
But yeah, easy fold now.
Yeah. He's kind of turning his ace five. He's kind of turning two pair into a bluff at this size.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. Okay. All right, next hand is me. King six suited can raise. And this guy sits out. And there's no reason not to raise there. And he should take it. He raises and, oh, the ace five. I didn't even see the ace five. Yeah, great. Solver special. Sure. Great. Perfect. Wonderful. King six should fold. He does. Larry,
Alright, king five gets to open, raise and take.
but he doesn't want to take it.
No, he's not, he's not really motivated. This is horrible.
Yes.
Limping is horrible on the button.
Yes.
So ace six is kind of interesting. I think fold is fine.
Here, different than the argument we had before, with the ace six, which is, this isn't a guy who we know will call any bet, and therefore ace six being a value bluff here isn't bad if he just chose to raise it.
Yeah, agreed.
But he does the thing, he just does the call with, okay, flipping it.
What are you doing with ace six off here? I'm not sure.
I would probably, I know this is going to be contradicted, but I'd probably fold it because it's a different player and a6
Yeah.
in this position. It would either be a 5 and then fold into any action, but I wouldn't want a6 here. It's weaker than ace 5.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. Would ISO ace
Yeah.
five off here? Richie?
I would do it. I'd probably do it with ace 5 again because it's the limp
Against
one.
an unknown?
Yeah, if it's an unknown player, then no, I probably wouldn't. But if I'd had a few words with them and they were a bit of a limper as well, I probably would. But if it's their first hand, then no, I'd probably want to see how action plays out with these this king five in a check down, probably with the big blind. So I would just fold it here, a6. A6 is obviously a lot weaker than
Yeah.
all the other aces, right?
Yeah, you're right. Scotty, what would you do against an unknown? And you see a limp
so-
here with ace five off?
So I'm gonna fold the ace six this time, and here's what I'm looking at. I go over to his limping frequency, and I see how often he's been limping.
Yeah.
He's been limping, not just his frequency, the number of times. If he's been limping as part of that's a chunk of his range, and he raises, then I think his range is perfectly linear. And I will raise the ace six against him. If he's limping everything, he does a lot of limping, but he just doesn't raise anything, I think I fold the ace six. And if I've never seen him limp and it's all raises and this is his first limp, I fold immediately.
Yeah.
On the
I can see
suspicion.
that.
And then the one thing you said about randomizer, which is, this is just my piece of advice, is that at our stakes, when you have a hand that should randomize, use anything other than a randomizer to make your decision.
Okay. Tell me
Just
more.
because-
I'm curious.
Because I think more, because the randomizer is to keep you from being exploitable,
Mhm.
and you're not. If you're playing within the range of if you're playing any solver approved line, you are so far less exploitable than our opponents
Mhm.
that you don't need that extra safety of the randomizer.
Yeah.
You can go with, what mistake does this guy make? And even if you're wrong about that, this is what I mean, is think about, what mistake do I think he's making? And you can make that based on a hand you saw, or on his stats, or on anything about him if it's live. That opinion is not going to be that much wronger than random. And I think
Yeah.
it'll probably be a little better.
You have a good point. It might be a lazy shortcut on my part. I think that your argument that even a tiny bit of knowledge is better than randomizing is very good. I think you have a very good argument.
Right. And the place where that counter argument comes in, the reason randomization is so important is, let's say that you're playing heads up. Let's say you're Daniel Negreanu and you're playing heads up against Doug Polk, and you're playing for 1,000, 2,000 blinds, and you're going to play 50,000 hands. Okay. And what you as Daniel Negreanu do is, you, in the hands that you should be check raise bluffing, but that mix, you tend to check raise bluff the ones that are good check raise bluffs more often than the ones that are bad check raise bluffs. Right? And Doug Polk knows this about you. He knows you're not randomizing. You are stretching your advantage. So something that you need to do 60% of the time, you're doing 100% of the time, and 30% of the time you're doing 0. That's the adjustment you've made. He therefore knows, because he knows which hands are sixties and which are hundreds, he can now get your range off that check raise much better.
Yes.
You can say, you never have this hand. Because even though it's a 30% hand, because you are skewed towards the better check raises and not the bad ones. And that piece of information is exploitable by Doug Polk.
But
You're
not,
Daniel
not
Negreanu,
at a 50
and you're
NL
not playing
table.
against Doug Polk.
Yeah, you have a very good point. You have a very good point.
Right. So there we go. That's speech. And the ace-6, he does the easy thing, which is the call. And here we go. And this is Tura's hand. Or Richie's. Whoever's hand it is.
I think it was my hand, wasn't it?
It's your hand. Go. More.
Okay, so obviously I'm never gonna be in button spot. I might be in villain 4 spot. Villain 4 doesn't need to do anything. Villain 4 is kind of this is the most difficult thing about choosing to overlimp here is you like your ace, you hate your kicker. And so you've got to be really aware of run out here and seeing how often you're chopping and how often you're not. I would check.
Yep.
Check. And then who knows what King 5 does. King 5 is now fucked himself, for lack of a better term,
Yeah,
by limping. So he checks. I think with the 6 of spades, sure. Put in the 2 blinds.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Richie. He's back.
Okay.
And he
Where are
posted.
we?
Even better.
How do you know it's the same
Oh,
guy?
funny.
442 big blinds. He didn't leave the table.
Oh, yeah. Okay. 142.
Also
Okay,
because I
got it.
remember. This is Sunday.
Okay. Got it.
I remember these hands.
Okay.
This is Sunday just gone, is it?
Yeah. This was this Sunday.
Yes. Yes.
Not this
Oh,
week,
nice,
1 week
okay.
earlier.
Ah, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
2 seconds. Okay, so ace-9, and again, fold, 5s open. They've got a poster behind, so they want to go obviously slightly bigger, and it's this crazy person who calls anything. So what, 5 blinds? Is this
Sure.
the person who opens the 5 blinds anyway, villain 2?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're just going to do their standard open, I guess, then a 5.
Good.
Yeah, the 3-4 is going to call. Ace-8 offsuit should fold. And it should, in theory, fold round back to the 5s.
Right. Now, it's possible that I open this. Because
Okay.
I know it's him. I know he has 2 random cards, and I know he's calling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I might open this. And
that's
I might,
reasonable. Yeah.
yeah, I might
It
stretch
did
for
cross
that.
my mind. I was like, ace-9 with this person there.
I
It did
didn't.
cross my mind, but it wouldn't be my normal
Yeah.
one. And there's more chance of other people being behind you, which, yeah.
So this guy didn't use
Wow,
his
they only
normal
went 3
5. He
this
should've.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. Bizarre.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So ace-8 should fold. Fold back round to the 5s. Here with 5s, I think it's reasonable to call here to, set mine, especially against this player as well. You're likely going to get paid because even if they do have a strong hand, like they're top of their range, let's say kings, queens, and aces, and you do hit a set, you're stacking them, right? But yeah, so obviously 5s here now have called, they should check. And then 3-4 is probably gonna obviously large bet here, and then 5 should be able to walk away.
And he
They
folded
might
this guy.
against this player, they might call once, but I think right, yeah, it's because I think it's just best to fold, right? Just take your battle another time against this person. They may be bluffing you, but they could have anything 3-4 offsuit, for example.
But, or if we're going to call with 5s, let's at least fold 5s without a club and call with a club. Let's at least do that.
Yeah, agreed.
Instead of
Agreed.
randomizing. Yep. He calls.
Oh, we've still got some action. Okay, he called. Okay, check again. And then this person's probably going to stab again because they not stab, actually bet again because they've, in theory, got the best hand and someone's called them. Five should definitely fold now, but maybe they just don't want to believe this player. You know, maybe it's one of those situations.
Yeah.
So they should fold. They finally fold. Yeah.
Now, let's go back to here and see that if look at what happens if I stretch here. Just look at, let's be results oriented just this long. Ace nine. Okay. I flop that and get raised.
Yeah, I know.
I
This,
turn this
Oh,
That-
pain.
and I get stacked
Yeah.
against this guy.
So this is important, right? And this is also
What you
to me,
call,
No, this is pure results oriented. This
Yeah.
is, I mean, I should get stacked here.
But there
Against
will-
this guy, I should,
would you call a 3-bet with ace nine out of position?
he's not, the fives isn't three betting me.
Yeah, but the 3-4 is.
Oh, the 3-4? Yeah. This guy? I think so. I think I have to hang on with ace nine against his range. I think
Wow.
so.
what a hand. This is,
yeah.
So,
Bizarro
but
I
world.
think,
that didn't happen.
yeah, I think a lot of us would get stacked against that player in that
Yeah.
exact situation, right? But
So
yeah,
very, very happy. All right, skate.
All right, okay, so we could open sixes in the cutoff. Let's get 3-bet by aces. Go 3.5x.
And then sixes call. That's what should happen. But
Yes.
this guy's playing, right?
Yeah, but is he going to be in the hand?
Yep.
Really? 4-5?
Yep.
Okay, so
You don't get to 85 folding 5-4.
okay, 4-5, sixes. They gotta either a 3-bet or fold, right?
I like it. Yep.
Will they sixes? It's kind of low. Kind of
What
low
size do you want to go with sixes?
Okay, if I did go with sixes, I would go around like 8 or 9.
Okay. Now let me add one other wrinkle. You know that whatever size you go, he is calling. You're going to see a flop. So now, with that in mind, what size do you want to go? And do you actually want to play 3-bet or fold against this guy with sixes? You have the best hand, but you're going to see a flop. You cannot keep him from seeing a flop. Do you want to make the pot bigger or not? I don't know.
I mean, against a guy like this, honestly, I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have to play like theory. I could do
Yeah.
whatever. I could call, I could min click, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Not, I mean, and then see what goes on in the hand. But obviously, aces is behind me, so he's gonna. Okay, see, he didn't go that big. Exactly.
No, he just went to a 3-bet. Like he's just saying, put some more money in the pot. We're gonna play the flop with my probably 50% equity against your hand. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Okay, so now aces.
Yep.
Little small, right? Yeah, small.
Mhm.
Definitely small. Okay,
But remember,
so
that's a 4-bet. 4-bets are allowed to be small.
that's true, right?
4-bets are such a strong range.
Raise 3-bet.
Yeah.
4-bet, yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you. I mean, just to look at just the sizes.
Yeah, we're playing 100 effective, right? So
Pre-flop only. This guy opens to 2 with his so he's hijack, right? Yeah. So hijack opens to 2 with his 5-4 offsuit. So we can see that. That's a good open right there. The cutoff with his sixes does a lot of folding, but against this guy, you're by far ahead. And his raises only to 7. When he raises to 7, look at the button size. Look at how small it is. Because look at how strong this range is. It's this, and just a smattering of that all added together. Yeah.
yeah, so he played correctly. 16,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, 16. Yep. Yeah. I was just pointing out that in position, but out of position, he pushes this up to 17.5. 4
We
bets
got-
are not that.
We got to study like more 200 plus big blinds so I can make more sense when I talk.
Yeah.
All right,
But this isn't 200.
so
No. Skate. This isn't about it being 400 big blinds. This is about 4-bet sizing. 4 bets can be small because you four bet so rarely. Your four bet range is so tight that it has its strength. You don't need the oomph of your bet. Your cards are your oomph.
Okay, that is true.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so he goes. And finally, this guy folds something.
yeah. Okay, sixes. To this size, okay, to this size, are we getting the I think we're barely getting the correct odds, right?
Barely getting the correct odds, and we're getting out of position, so it's gonna be harder for us to get all the money in if he doesn't want to get all the money in.
Fold. It is a four bet fold. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to fold, but he goes for it.
Okay.
Yeah, how? Let's see how absolutely psychotronic it is. I don't think it's very psychotronic at all. So notice the cutoff just has no calls. He's five better fold because of the guy behind. So he folds, and now we're back on. Oh, sorry. It's the hijack. Here we go. Yeah, the hijack is this with the slivers of queen. He folds. Now we're on the cutoff. Cutoff is a pure call with sixes. Okay, I was wrong. So he calls. And
Okay, to this size, this at this stack depth. Okay,
yeah, he did.
call.
That
Okay,
had
so
him.
maybe okay. I was wrong.
Me too.
Okay, I thought what?
Right.
I was
But the
I was
reason he can pure call it is because he doesn't have it that often. And
Yeah.
let me show, remember that, let's just look at this at range height. He calls it because because,
I mean, is it
like,
because we are against the button four bet range? Does that have
it's
some?
this. So jacks are good enough to call, right? Tens are mixing. And your nines, eights, sevens, and sixes, it's not that these unblock his bluffs or any of those things. It's that to end up with a balanced range here, you can, because you have these so rarely, you can call them 100% of the time because you end
But
up with this range.
do you agree if you start deviating because of that player, you were three betting him,
Yeah.
and you start deviating and three bet more hands,
Yep.
then I think you should start folding sixes
I
here a
think that's
lot.
good too. Yeah, you have a wider range here going into it because you three bet your sixes as often as you would three bet your tens. Therefore, you have
Yeah.
to fold them sometimes. Yeah, you have too many of them. All right, so there we go. And then aces skate. Do you want to bet this flop? You want to check this flop and what size?
Yeah, I think Jack and the nine. Well, I think we can. I mean, we can check. We could check once.
Right. So here's the one. So in
But
position as a four better, you almost bet range.
yeah,
Your hands are so tight that you can almost bet range, and you can almost bet range small if you want.
that was my second thought. You know, it's not a standard three bet pot. It's not a a raise call.
Yeah.
It is a four bet
Right.
from the button. So yes.
Yeah. Any bets just small.
Okay, and yeah, two overs, sixes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fold.
Good. That happens. All right. Tura.
I would fold everything here.
Good idea. But he's not going to, is he?
Yeah.
No. So he's going to raise and take it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Ace king opens and ace six suited defends correctly with a mixture of raises and calls. We'll see which one he does. There's the raise to three. Everybody folds and he chooses the call. Great. All right. Goes to the flop. He should check range. With ace king here, he can mix checks behinds and he can also bet. He has the best hand here a lot. And he goes for the bet. He goes for a big size. I don't see the justification for a big size on this board. I think he's doing this almost out of fear of getting outplayed rather than, yeah.
What size would you use?
Small. 2.3, 2.
Mm,
You can check this hand too. It's got.
I can check
showdown.
it, yeah. I can check, I can do both.
But like the board is very dynamic, and if you have a good hand, you probably want to bet big polarized.
Say it
Do I?
again.
Do I? Do I really want to polarize when I have, do I really want to bet big when I have, a jack here? Cause remember, my jacks are jack 10, which doesn't mind seeing a 9. I have jack queen and I don't even have jack 9.
So
suited.
some textures, the solver will polarize on.
Mhm.
Usually that texture is going to be rainbow. We can look at what this hand does if you want.
Yeah, yeah, let's take a look at this one. This will be a fun one to look at.
But I think generally this two-tone texture, this is, I don't know, this is in between connected, not connected on the straight side,
Yep,
but.
I don't see where the big bets are coming from in this range, but yeah, let's look at this
But
one.
we can look, then if we
Yeah.
want, well, do we
Yeah,
want to get
hijack first.
geeky? We can get geeky and look at an ag report real quick, or we can just do this hand.
Let's do this hand first.
Okay. Alright, I will set this up and come back to you.
Right. And then maybe tomorrow, maybe we'll look at ag reports for this kind of flop tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. Give you time to set them up. All right, so that goes. All right. I think it's on me now. This should fold around to the ace 8, who should raise it. 10-9 suited can do some, maybe do some, yeah, it does a little bit of 3 betting here. And actually has some calls in the solver.
Alright, do you want to take a look?
But he goes to 5. He should just 10-9 suited should just fold, but he's gonna call. He should just fold. He's gonna call. This is gonna cost him some money. Check. He should bet his ace. Absolutely. He bets it big. He's got hearts. He should not fold his 10-9 yet. Even to this big size, he should call once. He does. Checks. When the guy bets again, he should fold now. He doesn't, but he should. And now we get to the jack. And the ace 8. I think the ace 8 should be checking behind now.
I agree.
Maybe against this guy, maybe not.
It
Maybe
does
not.
really, well, let's look at what's our blocker situation. We're blocking 10-8. That's really nice.
Yeah.
This is really close. I think, yeah, this is really close. I think I would tend towards checking.
Yeah. He does. He could squeeze out some thin, a better player could squeeze out some thin value there and
Yeah.
also lose it sometimes.
So I will say Bart Hansen is a big proponent of going after thin value.
Yeah.
At these kind of stakes or the
Yeah.
equivalent like 1-2.
Yeah.
This
And
seems
this
really,
guy,
really thin though, doesn't it? With the
It is.
straight available.
right, but this guy here, given how wide he calls us,
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
ends up
this
here
is-
with so many hands that are, I mean, we don't have to just look at our aces. I mean, the aces, we beat ace 2, 3, 4, ace deuce 3, 5, 6, and we lose to king, queen. He doesn't have the king. Let's go as low as we can. We lose to jack, 10, 9, 7. So it's equal. Yeah. So we're gonna get called half the time. Yeah. And then he calls ever with a 9. Great. And is he in here with 10 jack ever? Yes.
Yeah, so the theory is we have to
We
win
can bet.
over half the time.
Yeah, we can bet. We can bet this and win over half the time. When called. Win over half
Yeah.
the time when called.
You know, it's just tough. It's just tough, but I think that this is a
Right.
call. Yeah. Do you want to
Yeah.
look at that solve real quick?
Yeah, let's look at.
Okay. So that was Turo, right?
Yeah.
So right, you're right. We do get big bets. I mean, depending on what your definition of big bets, we do get some percentage of big bets.
Yeah.
So this texture does allow for essentially this texture is in between is the only way I would describe this. Because notice we've got 18%, 18%, 72%. So for whatever reason, in theory, this really falls in some kind of another region where we get all different sizes.
Yep. And then the
Okay,
ace
cool.
king, the ace king can check back, and when it bets, its size that it likes is. Let's see.
Small.
The specific ace king that he had was. Let me go back. He had us, he had aces,
Spade,
queens,
heart.
king of hearts on that board.
I'd love to check.
Right. Okay.
Notice we're betting more with the club. The only thing to take away from this is that we do bet more with the club. The other thing to take away is that if we look at ace high, and we're looking about showdown with ace high, it's not super clear, but ace king has just got so much showdown that you can
Yeah.
just check.
Yeah, we're kind of we're reverse linear there.
I would say, I'm curious what you guys think, and then we'll move on real quick. I'm just curious, when you've got an aggro player who's going to attack what he perceives as weakness, what then are you doing with your ace king? Are you checking more, checking the same, or checking less?
Check more.
Because then you put in yourself, right? So let's say if I think you're right, Scotty, but you're then giving yourself excuse me, a somewhat difficult choice in later streets
Yes.
when you're having to make the choice to call down with ace high to continued aggression.
Yep.
And that's fine, but you just, I guess you got to mentally prepare for it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hang on. You know, you say to yourself, if you're playing online, you say to yourself out loud, all right, time to hang on.
Yeah, because this is my, so I've got some players in my live pool that just jump on perceived weakness.
Yeah.
And so in this spot, sometimes I take the choice to c bet. Just okay, this is what I do actually. Sometimes I go bet small, call, check turn, and then get ready on river.
Yep. That's a fine way
Do you
to do
think
it.
that's a valid line?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thanks, man.
But I almost think that check is almost that if you're going to do that river one, that often check, bet call is the line, and check,
Okay.
bet call, evaluate river. They're all those are there, and then none of them are easy. But whatever it is, for me, it's a small bet on the flop.
Yeah, I like a small bet in the flop. Check.
Yeah.
Evaluate river.
Yeah. All right. He does this. All right. That was Tura's hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tura. Okay, so this is me. Fold.
No,
Oh, we just did that one. Sorry. Here we go. Fold. Raise your fives. 3-bet by the ace king suited. Good. Call the fives. It's a good call for anyone this deep, and especially for him. All right. Win. Ace king with a spade. He can certainly check this board. It is bad for him. And he has the overpair advantage and he has the spades. So he can bet. He can also check call. He does not check fold here.
I think this is a pure check.
Yeah, that's a fine thing. Yeah, he checks and the fives should bet. Absolutely. And they do, and they bet big. And I think that ace king needs to lose 21 big blinds here. But he doesn't. All right.
I think
Larry.
you got to fold to that aggression.
That size?
Do we want to look at it real quick?
No.
It's not
Because
going to
this guy's
have
not
the
playing, because
sizing
this
and
guy's-
solve anyway.
Because we don't want to play against GTO. We want to play against this guy.
Yeah,
And
that's
why I'm
valid.
thinking that against this guy, I think we need to lose 20 big blinds.
Okay, I see your point.
Is the sizing good, you think?
No, because the sizing is polarizing, right?
I would bet small.
The sizing is polarizing, and so yeah, I think that you don't. It's not when you bet this big. What happens is that you get called by better and worse folds.
Yeah.
You'd much prefer to have look at ace king's equity.
Yeah, we'd like him to call.
We want him to call.
We want him to call enough. We want him to call more money than he's. We want to call it for more money than his equity is.
Yeah, we'll put. And then the other part is that when you're thinking about betting in position, maybe one of the first questions to ask yourself is can you withstand a check raise? And this is a no-brainer. Of course you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So That's what happened.
So this size is, yeah, it's just not necessary.
Yeah. Yep. But it is how he plays. And so, we expected that from him.
All right, this is me.
This is you.
So there's no question it should float around to 5-6. 5-6 is not really an open here. I think it mixes a little bit in cutoff.
Oh, no, 5-6 is
pure
pure
open.
in the cutoff.
It's pure, okay.
In the cutoff, yeah.
So then 5-6 opens.
No, I'm sorry. 5-6 is not pure on the cutoff. I'm sorry. 5-6 is pure on the button. 5-6 is
I think it
is a
mixes.
good solid 12.5% in the cutoff,
Yeah,
which means he's gonna do it.
yeah, there's no question he's gonna do it. And so king 7 is a 4-bet bluffer. It's 3-bet bluff rather, or fold.
And against this guy, what should you do with it?
Okay, so well, we don't, what's his VPIP now? Good question. I think if you're gonna do anything, okay, if I'm gonna do anything with king 7, I'm gonna 3-bet to isolate the fish. So yeah, if I decide to play king 7 here, and I'm guaranteed position, I'm gonna 3-bet. So I would 3-bet to 9 or 10.
Right. And I'm gonna fold this 100% of the time.
All right, let's hear. I'm curious about your argument here.
Okay. This guy is opening way too wide and way too often and calling all 3 bets, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, I can crush him with my better hands. What am I doing with the bluff part of my polarized range? Why do I have a bluff lobe against someone who never folds?
Yeah. What about
When
it
I
being
don't have to.
Yeah, you're valid.
Yeah.
I was just like, what about being in position? But you're valid. It's valid. Valid.
Being in position's okay. And
So-
you can call him if you want.
So then the argument becomes, so kind of like a strategic shorthand is people say, 3-bet here in order to get heads up with the fish. You're gonna get heads up with the mark.
Mhm.
And your argument is that's not a good strategy because of the reasons you just put out.
Right.
And
Now-
okay,
And that's for
I
his
can buy
position.
that.
I don't
can
have
buy
that. I don't have that luxury because I'm not immediately behind him. I rarely get to be in position against him.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have to do some different things about that.
But yeah, I'm just talking about villain's 4
Yeah.
spot. So villain's 4
But yeah,
spot
villain's
is
4 spot.
yeah. So your argument is that, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you probably are right, frankly, is that the kind of shorthand that we have about
Mhm.
3-betting the fish in order to isolate and get them heads up is not our best choice here.
Right. Now, the argument against me is where I say he never folds these. You go, I don't want him to fold. His range against my range with king 7 is dog shit. I'm way ahead, so I don't mind playing this in position. And that argument is valid too. You go, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
But I
I'm
thought
not
king 7
sure. I'm not sure.
But I see king 7 as the bluffing part of this range, and I don't need to play the bluffing part of my range against someone who doesn't fold. That some of the value of bluffs comes from the folds they get.
Agreed. Yeah. So the question becomes,
That's my shorthand.
does this combo, does this hand
Mhm.
class profit more from a fold or profit more from going post flop?
Yeah.
And you can make the argument it doesn't. So I don't mind this. This guy wants to play with this dude.
Sure. And I also don't mind king 7 suited multi-way in position.
Okay, it's valid.
Yeah. So there you go. He brings in the 8-10.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, let's just do. Can we go through something real quick?
Yeah.
Can you go back here before the call? Okay,
Yeah.
and then we get the flat, right? Okay, so let's look at equities. Oh, never mind, doesn't work. It shows
Doesn't
equities.
change. It doesn't change
Yeah,
that way.
okay.
Yeah. Not till we get the flop.
Okay, so now you're multi-way. This is my hand, right?
Yep.
Okay. Big blind should check. Our opener is going to see bet because he's cray cray. I think you just smooth call him.
Yep.
10-8 missed. Fold. Okay, let's see if he continues. Let's see how cray cray he is with his gutter. Checks, right?
Yeah, he checks.
All right. So king 7 is an interesting point. This board is arguably close to, well, this board's dry. And on this dry static board, you can just check back. Also, the other thing is when you have this dry static board, there's not much that can call you.
You can check back, but you can also, thin for value, thin for value. You have the best
Yeah,
hand now.
yeah. So then maybe you make some adjustments here.
Yeah.
Maybe you start thinking about how I'm adjusting my value threshold, right?
Yeah.
So my value threshold here is for me, if I was gonna flat here, my value threshold I would have against a regular player, I would have King 10 and King Jack. No, King Jack suited out 3-bet. King 10 I might have, King 10 suited I might have at some frequency. So I would value bet King 10 seated here. But yeah, let's adjust our, I think you're right. I think we have adjust our value threshold and we go for thin value here. And so our thin value size I would choose is is I don't really want to. Okay, so this might be a mistake, but I've kind of gotten in the mood that I don't like to invite a check raise with a hand class like this.
Mhm.
So I choose to polarize and go big to discourage. Essentially, what I'm saying to him is, okay, if you're going to check raise me, it's going to be your top of your range, and I'm taking away all your XR bluffs.
Right.
So I'm going to be 75 here. Now, I'm curious if you think that's wrong.
Um,
Or you think it's right? I'm
I
open to
don't know.
either.
Yep, the answer is I don't know. When we are much better players, we don't want to eliminate their check raise bluffs to make our lives easier. We want to
Agreed.
profit from their check raise bluffs because we play better against them when we're better than we are now. How good we are now, not bad. I think it's not a bad choice.
Yeah, so I think the way I play this right here is that the top of my value range, which would be like some King Jack, if I'm being lazy, some King 10,
Mhm.
is I am small betting. And this part of my value range, I'm big betting, trying to discourage XRs from maniacs.
Okay.
So let's see what size he chooses.
Yeah. He chooses to check behind.
Okay, yeah. So now go and check now, it's clear value. And P75, whatever, fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. He's not gonna call anything.
All right. So I'm gonna have to bug out now and get ready to go. So I'm gonna hand it over to Larry. Make you the host.
Sure.
And then if you want to put up other hands to go on, and then when we come back, we can continue against this wonderful guy.
Okay, Scotty, thank you very much for the session. Let me ask you, what's your plan tomorrow?
Tomorrow I will open the room for you, and not be with you guys.
Do you want me to
Basically,
get on the call early?
no, I don't need it. I'm not flying.
Okay.
I'll just do it. But call me. But if I don't open the room by 9:10, call me. It means I completely forgot.
Okay. Thank you,
And don't
Scotty, for
text
the
me. You gotta
Zoom.
call me because it's gotta ring so that I go, oh shit.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks again, sir.
Have fun, everybody.
See you tomorrow.
All right, we got us 4 guys left, right? Yeah, we got Tura, Richie, and Skate. How you guys doing?
Still a little tired, but pretty good.
So guys, let me see, it's 1:30. So we've gone 2 hours. I don't mind. I've got some hands that are check raise only hands, all cards face up. I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you guys want to call it or you want to do a little bit more? I don't mind. Either way.
I'm flexible as well. Whatever. If multiple people want to stay, I'll stay. If everyone's done, happy to leave it.
Skate. What do you want to do?
If I am gonna stay, I'm only gonna stay another like 20 minutes.
You guys want to just, we'll do 20 minutes. Let's do 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I just have to figure out how to share this and I'm going to turn off my HUD. HUD off. Cool. Okay. Let's, okay, share participants. All right, share this one. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
You guys see the replayer?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll
Yeah,
go another 20
see it
minutes.
clearly.
We'll do a little bit more. I don't mind. So these are gonna be all check raise hands, which I got sent by Mike. Thank you, Mike. So why don't I do this first one and then we'll pass it around to the four of us here. Okay, so this should be a heads up hand. P1 is going to raise. And we've got some cray cray going on. This clearly is not a good life choice. Queen nine is not in this. I guess so the first sign we've got a rec player is they're playing a broken stack. And so there we go. Okay, what size would you go with your aces here? I have some ideas, but I'm curious what you guys say. If you have aces here, what are you doing?
Out of position, somewhere around 2 3/4 to 3 times the last.
Yeah,
Roughly.
I
So we were
think I'm
just
going to
planning.
default to 3x here. What do you think, Skate?
Okay, we were saying before, this is gonna be a 4-bet, right? So 4-bets don't need to be that large.
Yeah, it's
We
called for.
we are 100 big blinds deep, facing 8. I think we could go. We could go, 17 through 20. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, I think either's fine. Let's go with 20. Maybe 20's better, Skate, because you got such a good hand. You want action. We don't care about being balanced here. Yeah, I like 20. I think you're right. My
Yeah, I
guess
think
is
20
that
is nice.
my guess is gonna do something like 20. Who knows? Let's find out. He goes 17. So he does a 2x. He really wants action. Can't blame him. Actually, this is Mike. This is Hero. He gets his flat. He gets his dream flat. Oh, now this is interesting. Unfortunately, mine does not show equity of P2 here. We don't know I was curious what his equity was here. His equities. We could do math here. Well, this guy must actually. What's he do? We're not going to see equity because he doesn't make it to the end of the hand. That's one difference between. I'm using Hold'em Manager, not Poker Tracker. So, okay. So this is, I think, something you kind of want to discourage. I don't care about aces. I think other people feel differently about aces. They don't mind taking a multi-way. I do not feel that way this deep. I think that you want to take this heads up. So this is an argument for like
agreed.
24.
So I just added this onto GTO Wizard. I don't have it to share, unfortunately, 900. But yeah, cutoff opens 2.5. I can't remember what they actually open. Button can actually has a 50%, almost 50%, with Queen 9 suited, raise 3-bet.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah, 47%, 46.8. And then the big blind should raise 21,
21. Okay, cool.
roughly. Yeah, but
All right.
I didn't do the 3 times. Yeah.
Was that you, Tora? Were you saying something? Will you say it again?
Yeah. With my rages, I pure 3-bet Queen 9, but I only play 3-bet or fold.
Yeah. Okay. Queen nine's in there. Cool. Thanks. Thanks for looking that up, guys. All right. So the other thing is that, okay, 21 I think is good. I don't really want to encourage multi-way action out of way with aces. I would probably go bigger. I'd go to 24 probably, actually, now that I think about it. Kind of torn, but it's a good problem to have when you have aces, isn't it? So now you're multi-way, not ideal. Except when you get this flop. It's fine. So I would go small here. I'd go like 10. I'd go like a 20% bet here. Multi-way.
Yeah. I
I mean, this
agree.
is like, I would argue this is, I mean, you're gonna run into sets every once in a while, sure, but I would argue it's kind of a dream flop for aces.
Yeah.
Okay, so this checks, so some people, when they're multi-way out of position, have a pure checking range here. I assume he has the checking range with the intention of check raising. Okay, that's what he wanted. He got what he wanted. So what's your, so SPR is important here? So
I would just bet
SPR
it.
is at what? What's our SPR here? So 51.86. So SPR
One.
now is at like 1.2, 1.3.
Uh,
And he
it's
just essentially,
one.
this guy is committed to the pot considering SPR, effective stacks. And this is an incredibly dry flop. Especially for the, I mean, so, and also I might be influenced by seeing the hand. This guy's playing face up. This is high freak. There are some bluffs in here. You don't want to get the bluffs out, right? On this beautiful texture for your aces. You don't want the bluffs out. And also, this is high freak tens through jacks. And also queens, obviously. Tens through queens. Queens are a flat here. So I like a call here. I don't think you have any reason to. If he ever has, let's say, queen jack diamonds, queen jack hearts, you never want to have that hand fold. Anybody else fast playing this? Are you
No,
I
guys
I
just
think
don't
I
playing
would,
think
idea to
fast
stick?
playing it.
I would just stick it in.
You're gonna stick it in? Okay.
He
Now,
has to call like 50 big blinds, and if he has like nines through queens, he doesn't want to see an overcard.
so
So
he's gonna call off his tens through jacks here.
I think he will once he puts in this big bet.
I think you have a valid argument, Turo. I might be I probably lean more to the slow play side. The reason I like to flat here is when it goes check on turn, one on this flat texture, he can hit a pair, so he's never folding. And two, when it goes check on turn, my shove, even though it kind of sucks because it's over pot, my shove now looks very bluffy to jacks and queens. But I think your fast play is fine. Essentially, if we put this in solver, I don't solver wouldn't have any checks here because it wants to protect its cold four range, so it's never gonna have, it might have some, but it's never gonna have flat. It's never gonna have checks here out of
Right,
position.
so you're saying blast it on the turn versus the flop with this hand?
No, I'm saying let him bluff off and let him also go for value, which isn't value because you have aces.
Mhm.
So I'm saying I'm saying smooth call here, check out of position on turn, and depending on his size, you can check shove because you might be committed. But if it goes check turn with his hand, you also now have a chance for him to hit. Let's say he chose this with queen jack, right? Queen jack of diamonds. Let's say that you have a clean turn, and then the queen comes and you shove. You're getting paid. I kind of want to also let him get there. So he chose fast play, which is fine, and queens are probably gonna call off. Queens call off. Boom. Well played. I think either's fine. I think when you have this much equity with this good a hand on this texture, a lot of it has to do with texture too. A lot of textures I'm gonna bet, but this one's fine. All right, next hand. Okay. Richie, you want to take this one?
No, skip me a minute, please. Sorry.
Okay, sure. Uh Tura Skate, either you guys want to take a hand?
I'm ready. I
Sure.
can take.
Um okay, yeah. Okay, Tura, here you go.
Okay, shit.
Sarah, we're
Okay.
playing, it looks like not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, nine-handed. How should this hand go, sir?
I would fold to the cutoff.
Yeah, I'm with you. Got a
Mhm.
limper. We're gonna get the check
Yes.
raises.
10-7 can limp behind.
Alright. What about king eight off?
King 8 off, I would fold. And 3-5 suited, I would
Yeah,
check it.
king eight I think is a fold. 5-3 gets to seal free flop. Hero's very happy.
Yeah.
Hero's very, very happy. This is where we're getting our check raise. Okay. Check. Do you lead ever here? You've got 80% of a straight draw. Of a straight flush.
I think you can lead. Because you need some protection to other offsuit spades.
Well, you only
and-
need protection from spades. The question becomes, are any spades folding?
No.
I think you're betting to get
Okay,
value from other
you're not getting
spades.
protection, but you get value from.
Yeah, I think you're trying to get value from spades, but so what's gonna happen is this is also interesting to see equities. So ace two is 17% to boat up, which makes sense because he's got exactly 4 outs. So he's 17% to boat up, right? Yeah. So let's see what happens. Check. And so in theory, I should have asked you what size he was going to use. But anyway, in theory, this is the wrong size.
Yeah, I
But-
would go one big blind.
Yeah, one big blind, exactly. In theory, we're using a very small size in any monotone board with all of our range. There's
Yeah.
very little that can call you. And if you do have with king of spades, you kind of want to have a call. So with your 30% to a flush. All right, so he's gonna fast play his 5-3.
Yeah,
If you were to check raise here, what size would you use?
I would go like 12.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much the same. Ace two is in quite a pickle. Now let's look at equities. This is, I think, one of the best lessons about these. The best things to learn from these sessions is we can now compare pot odds to equity, right? Straight up. So we can look and see he does not have the equity to call this size. So you want to call because you got outs, but you just don't have enough. You just don't have enough outs. You've got, hold on one second, guys. I'll check something real quick.
You got 4 outs.
You have precisely 4 outs. Yes. Yeah, precisely 4 outs. And so this is where, and this, I will say this is really hard to do live, for me at least, because this is a very tough situation. This is why it was funny. I was talking to some guys who play a lot live, and I'm like, so dudes, how often, in what hands? Because, I'm playing 1-2. So at 1-2, you get multi-way hands. It gets very complicated sometimes to understand pot size. But this is why pot size is so important, because this is where you want to make pure calculations, because you're essentially being offered a price and you want to know what your outs are. So, and the point is I'm trying to make is that he doesn't have, he should fold. So this is a mistake, right? We all see that. It's a mistake. It's an error. And it's an error that if he was a thinking player, he wouldn't make. Now, this guy can have bluffs, right? So you can argue that he calls because there is a bluffing range here. All right. Anyway, so we move on. And that is why and sometimes we get there. So if you're a hero and you see board pair, what are you doing here?
I think I would probably just keep betting.
Yeah, I agree, because well, the first thing you think about is opening position, right? And you think does he have ace two suited? How many combos are there? There's 2 combos of ace two suited left, and there's 2 combos of ace eight suited. There's 4 combos that are beating him because he doesn't have a2.
Then there's also deuces and eights.
And there's also deuces and eights. Yes, thank you. Good point. There's also deuces and eights. So how many combos? I think there's 3 combos of 8s, right? If I'm
Yeah,
not doing my math wrong. Am I correct?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and there's 2 combos of 2s,
Combos.
and there's also aces too, right?
Yeah,
And so, yeah, I think I'm probably still in betting. I think there's now I'm really excited, right? Because I think I'm gonna get paid. So this is a horrible spot. Now, what would you
There's
do if you're
also
ace two?
a higher flush, right? You could be losing to a higher flush
And
as
you could be
well, right?
losing to a higher
Just to
flush. You're right.
thing.
I Richie, good point. And also I would argue the ace of spades is kind of important because that's a lot of his RFI range. But you have a really good point. You're losing to King X and some Queen X and some Jack X. Yeah, you're totally right. Um, okay, so if you're Tara, if you're P3, what are
I
you doing here?
I think I'll just call in position and
Notice here how many outs Hero has. Hero has 1 card.
uh
1 card is 2%. Um, so yeah, I think you're right. Now I would argue that this falls into the region of horrible blunder. Because you're now making his choice binary.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really bad raise.
Yeah, this is horrible. You've now folded out all bluffs, and you've even folded what pot odds is it? Yeah, and you folded it out. He's got 8. If he had a bluff, if he had the king of spades here, he doesn't have the odds to call. If he had the king of spades and just a paired board, yeah, you're done. You're donezo. So the question for Hero now, what are you doing if you're Hero? Hero's in a horrible place. This is why these check raise answers are so interesting. Tara, what are you doing if
Fold,
you're
I think.
Richie, you're gonna
I
fold?
think it depends on the player as
Yeah.
well. It's because some players might just stick it in here with the threes of ace or with a
So
yeah it's probably a fold.
yeah, I think it is probably a fold. You're losing to so much.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
only flush you're beating is a four high flush, right?
Yeah.
Which they
And on a
can't
pair on a
have
paired
because they
board.
would need, yeah, they would need 2 cards, so they can't actually have a 4 high flush because they would need at least 2
Yeah.
spades, right? So
Yeah.
it's a 4 high flush draw. So yeah, you're hoping they have 3, but you just got to think. As you say, you can consider the player, and if they're really, really splashy, maybe make the call. But
Yeah.
because it has to be an ace, right? Because or someone bluffing. So, and I just think would population be doing that here on
Yeah.
this
Richie, you're
board?
right. You're
And
totally right. And
yeah,
then the other thing is so have I given I'm sure you've heard me mention this term before, but so Peter Clark, your brethren on the island that you're on, Richie, a little bit north of you, above Hadrian's Wall.
okay, yeah,
He would say this is a fortune reversal. So when this happens, essentially you've gone from being in love with your hand to you've got to think flexibly here, right? You've
yeah.
got to
So another
reevaluate.
way to look at this in fortune reversal is right by this person making the play as they've done here. They could be bluffing you, but they could be saving you. How much have you got left behind? 67.5. Because if they just called you and then maybe you check and then they shove the river, that is more a bluffable spot, right? Because you've given
Yes.
them weakness, you've given them rope. Here, it's a less bluffable spot. Same as if they call you here and then you lead small on the river still, or continue small on the river or medium, right? And then they go over the top of you. You know, this is just the most least bluff spot here, I would say, out of all the potential remaining options that are averagely going to be taken. So you look at this as they're saving you money. You're winning in theory 60. You could argue winning the 67.5 big blinds you've got left behind by this person's play, because you would very likely, if they called you, lose more.
I think you have a really good point
Potentially
here.
all.
So, I mean, one way to look at this, yeah, I said it before in this session, is that P3 is doing you a big favor. He's doing you a big favor because he's letting you know the strength of his hand.
Yeah.
So one way to look at this also is to just, I mean, we can go back to basics here and look at bluff catching. We can look at a bluff catching what's the word? Flow chart. So bluff
Yes,
catching
true,
flow
true.
chart is going to say, okay, question one, am I beating their bluffs? Yes, their bluffs are going to be. Well, the first question is going to ask, am I beating value? And that one
No.
is tough. Because is he ever doing this with trip aces? See his
Why?
gate.
Oh, it's tough. Yeah. Is trip aces value or is it a bluff? It kind of falls in between. It's quite.
It's a merge. Yeah, it's a merge.
Yeah, it's a merge. I would maybe argue it falls closer onto the bluff than it does, but it is very mergy. So if the value, right, is someone who has a stronger set, has a stronger flush than you, or someone who has the full house. So no, you're not. I would argue you're not being value, right?
Yeah. So
Their
once you
range
decide,
is merging.
so that's
Yeah.
incredibly important. Once you decide that you're not beating value. So in theory, if you're beating value, you call.
Yeah.
But once you've decided that you now have gotten, so in my head, I think, and I'm curious what you guys do, but in my head, when I'm here, my first question, well, my first rule is I never insta call online. Richie, do you play mostly online? You play live too?
Mostly online. I do. I'm slowly increasing live, but yeah, mostly online.
Yeah, I play more live now, but I do both. Tara, what about you? Do you play live and online or just online?
Mostly online.
Okay. So here, the first question to ask is, do I have a pure bluff catcher? And the answer is, yes, I got a pure bluff catcher. And then once I've gotten to that point, obviously, I don't think pot odds matter much here. The other question is, um, what are his bluffs? And it's very hard. And it's very hard to come up with. So I think a fold is good. Let's see what happens. Tara, this is your hand, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fold is good. Let's see if Hero finds it. I don't think Hero is gonna find it. It's really hard when he can be value with trip aces. Let's see. Yeah, it's hard to find. All right, so one last hand, and we'll call it. You guys, Terry, you have time for one more?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think Richie probably can't take this one. Richie, speak up if you can. I just noticed you went on mute, so it's no
Oh,
worries.
sorry. Yeah. Is this me? Did you say then? Sorry.
If you'd like to, yeah.
Yeah, let's go for it. Okay,
All right.
so what are we? We're nine-handed. So yeah, fold, fold. King 10 on what is that? Might be mix. I actually don't know here. So what's that? You've got under the gun and the gun +1. So wait, cut off hijack, low jack. So that's under the gun +2, is it? I think that's a fold, King 10 off by there. So ace-3 suited opens first, then Queen 7 should fold. Or folds round. Can a7 offsuit open? They could call, right? They could call the queen. Yeah, they could call the open from the player 8.
Well, let's look
think.
at P1. Well, the first thing on
P1, do
P1
they
is he's
call?
playing a broken stack.
Oh, true. Yeah, didn't notice that.
But I think in theory this is a fold, right? So
I
but
would say with the broken stack, they fold. With a full stack, a7, I still think it's a fold on the button offsuit.
it is a
It's too
fold.
low.
It is a
Yeah.
fold. But weird things happen at these lower stack depths because all of a sudden now you're dealing with less implied odd. I'm sorry, less reverse implied odds. So it becomes
Okay.
weird, I think, for like an ace like this. But we don't have to worry about it because we're never gonna play this stack size. But
No.
now we've got two early limpers.
Okay. Oh yeah, they're both okay.
3 early
Wow.
limpers. What do you do
Oh,
with your
that's sad
ace
already,
three
isn't
here?
it? Ace three suited, so it depends on how much info I have on these people to what I would do. I think ace three suited is on the cusp of, doing an isolation raise here. So what would you do? 3 times the last bet plus the total pot. So that's 3 big blinds, 6.5. Does ace three feel like it's strong enough to do that? So I would say so, yeah. I probably, based on these players, if I've been sitting without them, they're showing weakness both all limping. I would go with ace three here. If someone goes over the top of me, I know, thank you, right? My hand isn't strong enough to come against you, I'll fold. But I might be able to get someone heads up here and potentially get something off them. So yeah, I think I'd open this. It's
Okay.
probably on the cusp. It's probably closer to a fold than it is an open. Ace three, ace 4 and 5 would be better. But I think purely based it's 2 broken stacks and then a
Yeah.
limper in between early. I think
Yeah.
they're all showing weakness that I'm happy to try and squeeze this.
I can see it. What
I
size you
want
gonna
them to
use?
fold.
What size?
So I said 6.5, did I? Because 3 times the
Oh, I
last
didn't hear
bet,
you,
so
sorry.
3 big blinds. Sorry.
I think,
Plus
I,
the 3 1 blinds. Yeah, so 6.5 bigs.
I think I might go bigger here. I think I'm gonna start at 4.5 plus 2 for the extra limpers, maybe 3. I think I go to 6 or 7 here. I think you have to
Yeah, so
add. You think you have to add a blind per limper.
yeah, that's what I said. 6.5 blinds, right?
Oh, I'm really fucking tired. Sorry, Richie.
No worries.
So he chooses to fold. This is horrible, but not
Yeah.
surprising. What hero is queen 4 suited here? What are you doing?
Oh, with all this nudge limpers, someone's likely going to call you a few squeeze and you're going to be out of position. So if you're going to squeeze, you would go big. You would go bigger than the 6.5. I would, at the max, a minimum 7.5, but I would probably be looking somewhere between 8 and 10. But I would likely fold with
Yeah, I
queen
think
4.
so. This is never in your overlimping range.
Oh no, king 4. I would probably consider over limping here. Queen 4, I think, is just on the cusp because you're
Maybe the
not
first
just
question to
getting.
ask is do you have an overlimping range? Period.
Yeah, probably in some cases. I haven't got a set range. I can't think off the top of my head, but king 4, I would consider probably limping here. But over limping, I fold a lot more, right? Because you're going multi ways, so most of the time it's going to be weaker anyway. But yeah, you've got to be a lot tighter and stricter with your folds when you over limp. I find in my play.
I
Because
agree.
you're
I think
more likely.
hand class is important, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it comes down to, is this an implied odds hand? Is this a suited connect? Can this hand make the nuts? That's really the only question. If
Yeah,
I'm lucky,
and
does
it's
this
tough.
hand make
Like
the nuts?
the problem with Queen 4 is you're getting beat by a king high flush and an ace high flush, right?
Yeah, I agree.
You
This
wouldn't
is
be
really,
fully comfortable. With
yeah,
a king, you can kind of make the argument that there's just the one. If they had a strong one or a suited one, they would have probably raised it and not limped it, right? Even ace 2 suited, most people would not limp that. So I would feel a bit more comfortable with king. Queen, I wouldn't feel that comfortable. And then obviously it's slightly different if they're on the board in the flesh, but obviously we're acting that they're not on the board. So yeah, I think queen 4 is slightly too weak for me to limp here. I would
I think
consider a king 4.
I think you're spot on, especially at a position where you're just not going to have. You're not going to have positional advantage here. I think you're spot on. I think this is a fold.
I would much prefer, if I'm playing queen 4 here, is to try and squeeze it, and I would be looking somewhere between 8 and 10, so that if someone went over the top of me, I know easy call, fold, easily fold. If they call and it's 1 or 2 heads up, you've narrowed their range a bit, not a huge amount because they limped, but usually people who call such a big raise by limping are trying to trap. So I would say you've still narrowed their range and you could again tighten up a lot more. But yeah, I would fold or go for a squeeze here, but it would be a bottom of my range squeeze. I would probably most of the time fold this.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you got I think you're spot on. This, and again, here, this is fine. Here, Mike's, you guys know Mike. Mike is a pretty aggressive player, so this is fine.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Again, I
Yeah.
much prefer this to calling.
Yeah, agreed. So let's see if he gets what he wants. King 10, broken stack. Bummer. But he does have, and a good aggressive player is going to make this play. And you're right. I mean, this is cuspy, right? Like this is really cuspy. But a good aggressive player likes making this play. They've now isolated heads up against a fish. And you guys heard me say it before today. And I'm not sure about how that play works, frankly. But you're now your heads up against the fish, even though you're out of position. Okay. Now, you're a very interesting point. Do you want to
There's
play
a
as
lot to
hero?
consider here.
Are you, let me ask you
So-
this question. Are you ever making this play that hero did?
So as I said, I would consider it more than the thing, and I could definitely see myself in this position. What I would have to consider here now is the stack to pot ratio, right? Because he was
Yeah.
shorts that because they're short stack. So
Mhm.
22 bigs in their pot, and that person is 49. You've actually picked up a reasonable amount of equity here, right? Open-ended straight draw.
Yeah.
But it's not the strongest, right? There's no hearts. You would much prefer to see some form of heart for the back door or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So it is literally just it's the lower end of a decent equity. So I base it beyond on a short stack because they could just shove up on top of you and I want to try and see my equity. I would
Mhm.
check here. And if they then went for the bet, not a shove, I would probably call a street. But yeah, if I bet here and then they shove, you would have to consider either taking the punt or fold, and I would likely lean towards the fold here. But if they shove, it's a punt call, I would say, right?
Yeah.
You've got 8 outs, you know.
So, I think you're right. So I think uh, this is kind of an interesting position because you've got range advantage because you've ISO'd Limper. He's got a very capped range. But I think the important part is that let's think about what a limp call range is. And it's a lot of times, and you guys tell me if I'm way off here, but I think a lot of times it's going to be around this area of the board, right? I think this texture hits a limp call range pretty effectively.
Yeah,
And
middle
so
connectors, some form of suited. Yeah, I think this hits them a lot, right? And that's why I'd be concerned that they
I
would just
really
shove it
like
in
your
over
check
you,
here,
right?
man. I really do.
Yeah.
Because I make the mistake here sometimes of saying, I've got I've got the ones with aces and kings and queens. You never have them. You P6, the limp card never have them. So I'm pushing my equity advantage, my range versus range equity advantage. But I think it's a mistake. I think your check here is really good for exactly the reasons that you said. You want to realize your equity. Hero, but
Because
Hero is
obviously
on board
you've
with
got
you.
gut shot with aces and ace queen, queens, everything. You got it, and the person knows that, right? They would be concerned about your queens and kings. Don't get me wrong, but the person knows that you have some form of equity. This connects with you in some shape or form, but they likely are going to have the stronger hands. You know, the already completed straights, the potential flush draws, the 2 pairs. You know, is likely going to hit them more. So them shoving, knowing that you probably have some equity that they would likely, I would argue, think you're going to call. And so yeah, I think the check here makes the most sense if that.
And Hero agrees with you.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
thing I would comment on, and you could tell me if this is off, is you're giving a lot of credit to the strategic thinking of a limp caller.
I suppose you're right. But even if I had kings here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wouldn't be 100% comfortable. I'd be happy. I'd be like, I've got an overpair. They might try and bluff steal this with top pair or even a draw. You know,
Yeah.
I'm willing to check here and let them stab for it, right? And even if they don't stab for it, you know, there's not many cards that are going to completely scare me. Obviously, a club would be concerning, but it's not the end of the world because they're a broken stack. Sometimes you've got to say hold on and go to it, right? But
Yeah.
even with a stronger hand than we have now, the higher pocket pairs, the over pairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would be looking to check here probably to induce because it's not the strongest, and I don't mind calling it down. I would probably continue betting here if I hit a set. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's playing against this player type, the broken stack.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. What do you, so what, again, just to make sure, I understand, because I'm quite interested in your range here. What are you doing with jacks?
With jacks. Oh, actually, yeah, jacks it's a slightly different one. I was thinking a set of tens or a set of nines. Jacks, yeah, because you're taking some of theirs away from them, right?
Mhm.
If
Oh,
I'm
you're
betting,
taking some of their continuing range away from them.
yeah, continuing
yeah,
range. That's what I
yeah.
meant. Sorry. If I'm betting with, am I betting with jacks or are they that fall into my check as well? Because you don't want to split them all, do you? But I think you could do it if you are betting. I think you're betting small because you have taken some of their range, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a smaller amount, and then it, because it could induce them to shove over the top of you with their draw. Yes, they could have the straight, but with their draw, but it also is keeping them in where they might just be like, "I'll see another card for cheap," and you're getting a bit more from them. So jacks, yeah, I think it's small if I'm betting, but I don't hate check either. But tens and nines, if I had tens or nines, I would be betting a slightly more here. I'd be going for half pot.
Yeah, because you're unblocking the jack X.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So
Oh, okay. I was
he
thinking we had
goes
trips then because
big.
we were talking about them. I was like, oh, lovely. But with the queen, it's a bit different, isn't it?
Pot odds versus equity, right? I mean, he's also done you a favor, especially if you're playing live. I appreciate when
Yeah.
they do this because I'm not very good at. But I have some pot odds memorized. This is clearly a 2-to-1, 30, and we know 2-to-1 is always 33%. So
Yeah.
he's made it very easy for us to understand where we are, and we can even see
Yeah.
it
So it
expressed
should be a
here.
fold.
And it's it's a fold.
Yeah. They've chosen the
Aha!
to fold.
Who does not say this? Mike, is DGAF. Mike's pushing his overpair advantage. So I think,
This
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead,
is
Richie. It's
no
your hand.
fold equity, surely, right? If they put 20 in,
Yeah.
then surely there's no fold here, right?
That's what I was gonna say.
Unless they have like total air.
Unless they've got total air, but let's listen to the sizing.
But I think jamming is still better than calling.
Jamming is probably better than calling, but I don't know if I even jam here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you call, you probably have to call turn as well.
So thinking from Mike's point of view, right?
Mhm.
I don't think I'm calling this, but thinking from Mike's point of view for the jam, he unblocks a flush draw, right? Because he doesn't hold a club. So you could argue that's a reasonable reason jam, and he does have equity with obviously the open-ended straight draw. But apart from that, so he's basically jamming the bluffs, right? Doesn't want it, because if anyone has even a 9 here, not just the 10 or jack, anyone with a 9 here will probably still call with just 28 bigs to potentially find. I can't do the pot math, but yeah, they have a reasonable thing to call here. So
yeah, I think he's thinking, I've got the aces and kings and queens and jacks. You don't.
I think he might think the villain is just stabbing too much and bluffing once he checks.
Yeah, yeah. And so the one thing I'm gonna say, which do you guys ever watch Hungry Horse Mark Goon? Do you ever watch him on YouTube?
I watch Hungry Horse, yeah.
So
Really
I'm
good.
digging, I think he simplifies a little bit too much, but I'm mostly digging what he has to say. And by the way, if you like Hungry Horse, your other brethren on the island, Charlie Carell. You ever run into Charlie
Charlie's
Carell?
good. He's just done a review of Hungry Horse, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was
that's
quite
what I was gonna
interesting.
say. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Make sure you see that. I thought it was. Did you watch it?
I watched half of it. I haven't finished it. I need to go back and finish watching it because I was actually trying to really listen to what he said.
Yeah. And I
Not just
watched it and
half
I
of it.
really liked it. I think where he pointed out what he felt was some errors in thinking are very good points. I really
So I
enjoyed it.
did as well. And Charlie's obviously a different level to all of us, right?
He is, he's God
But
mode.
at the same time, I thought, is he over criticizing what is it, a 1-5 game? Was it?
Five,
A
five,
2-5 game?
five,
A
five.
5-5 game, yeah. Because
Yeah,
the
you have a
type
good
of
point.
players in a 5-5 game compared to the type of players even in the next stage, right? A 5-10 and etc.
Mhm.
I just thought Mark adjusts his play for the type of players he's playing against. He knows he's not playing perfectly, and he knows there's times he even makes mistakes in his play styles. And I just thought sometimes that maybe Charlie was forgetting it was a 2-5 game. And again, I'm not denying he is a phenomenal player, right? Way
Yeah.
better than me. Could only dream to be anywhere near his or Mark's level. But I did
Mhm.
think sometimes his critique was maybe overcomplicating the essence of how simple Mark is trying to make his play against the types of players he is, right?
Yeah, you have an excellent point, because Charlie's head at this point, when it comes to poker, is trained for a much higher level of play. And so it's, yeah, he's thinking in like a 5100 head, right?
Yeah.
And he's thinking about, he's playing against exploiting 5100 recreationals, 5100 players.
Yeah.
Goon is thinking 5-5. You're totally right. You're totally right. He's the checking range was the big thing. He's like, no, never check range here. But yeah, you have a really good point. You have a really good point. Charlie was probably thinking about, I think his head is probably just thinking about always playing against higher level players. So anyway, let's see how he goes here. He's good luck, hero. One time. Here we are. Well played. Okay, I got one. You guys ready to go? I got one more if you guys have one more. You have one more?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Go
All
for
right,
it.
last one. Last hand. We've called last hand. All right. I think whose hand was that? That was Richie's, right?
Yeah, that
Turo.
was my win. That's right.
Turo,
Yeah.
you want to take this one?
It's your turn if
It's
you
my
want.
turn? Okay, sure. Like you guys aren't tired of hearing me talk for 3 hours. All right. So 10's open. Ace-8 defends. No one else should be in this hand. I think my prediction is that what's ace-8 gonna, I wonder if we get a combo draw. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's hero. Here we go. Okay, what we expect. Nice. Get in, hero. And he's nice. Oh, well, this is gonna be violence. This will be violence. Okay. So he chooses big size on this texture. I think P9 sizing is fine. When you've got this much equity, I think you could do whatever the hell you want. He can go big, he can overbet, he can, if we put this in solver, it would be like, do what you want, dude. Got 85% equity. So this is fine. There it is. So again, I think that a lesson from Mark Goon. Mark Goon talks a little bit. I mean, I think Mark Goon's, a lot of his game is based on listening to bet sizing. So he's inducing information by his bet sizing sometimes.
Yeah.
Like there'll be times where he uses a
Yeah.
very small size to try to induce them to raise off. Because I think one of his big arguments is that their check raise range is not balanced. It's heavily value based. And because of that, when I give them a size which allows them to check raise, they're going to tell me where they are. So
Yeah.
So let's extrapolate that to this situation and say P9 is now telling us where they are. They've used, what is this? Is this a 75? This is like a 75. So he's used a large sizing. And so in theory, even when you see this large sizing, you're supposed to call more. And I might be
Yeah.
influenced by seeing the hand, of course, but I think, yeah, against this sizing, I like a call more. I think if you used a B25 or B30, I like a check raise, but I think this size means that we call more. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm off base here? Or you think,
I agree. O-
I think you
o-
gotta listen to the sizing. You gotta listen to the sizing. He's telling you, this is 50 and L. He's telling you he loves his hand.
Yeah.
I think you listen to the sizing. Because you also really check raise is not so much about your 31% equity here. It's about inducing folds. It's about generating folds. And this you're just generating less folds against the sizing for two reasons. One, he's told you that he likes his hand in unstudied player. And two, something I mentioned before, sunken cost fallacy. You're running up against, if you're trying to induce or generate a fold, you're running up against sunken cost fallacy. He's invested 5. He doesn't realize that that money doesn't belong to him anymore. And so he's making a mistake here. I would call. And
I
also it's
think
a bit,
I
go
think
ahead, sorry.
calling's better. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I agree with you. I think I agree with all that.
Yeah.
It's reasonable.
Yeah. I think this is a call. I think I just call. And so this smooth call is fine. He is going to be up against, for some players, he's going to be up against Jack 8 suited. 8-6 suited
Yeah.
are both in these range. So this call is fine. And if you are the 10s, you'd love that card. So this is my hand. So what? So I've made this
So what you
play.
doing?
Yeah. So I've made this play, right? So now I'm going to listen to it's hard because I feel like I'll be influenced by the cards, but so I've made a very, very polarizing check raise. I made a 4x to a B75 and I got flatted. What part of the only part of his range that I'm folding out if I continue this line is his flush draws and maybe some straight draws. And that's just not enough. It's just not enough. It's just not enough, especially when he used a big size on flop. Now I'm just gonna check and just try to realize equity. Would you guys ever continue your aggression here with your bluffs?
I I would probably just jam,
All right,
but
jam it. Okay.
I don't think it's a good play. But just when I start raising this big, and then it just takes over me. Like if I want, this is a total brick, and if I want to continue, I mean, I I should be continuing if I have a Jack 8. What am I
You know
mostly
what I would
left?
think about jamming here? I would think about jamming ace 8 hearts.
Yeah. I mean, also, I would rather just check raise ace 8 of hearts than, or ace 8 of spades at least, than the
I would actually
diamonds.
probably call ace 8 hearts pre on flop, but so someone folds here and I assume it's hero. So that's why we don't see equities. So solver a lot of times when it does take the aggressive line, it continues the aggression. But yeah, it's just his
What's
range, P9's range is so filtered now. You essentially you put him he's at the very top of range. He's at ace, he's at like probably queen 10 plus.
Yeah. But
I mean,
what's the size? What sizing would you use with your value here after check raising?
am I out of position? So what's my value? So my value are 9, 7s, 10, 9. Straights, combo draws. Well, that's not a value, it's a draw. So I think that's a good question. So my thick value, let's go. Well, thick value is 10s, thick value is 9s, thick value is Jack 8, and probably 8-6, especially within heart blocker. I really care about SPR. So I'm gonna go, it's geometric, so, but it's a very awkward stack size. It's a very awkward,
Yeah, exactly.
SPR. So I want to have a size that is always getting called. I don't need to go big. So what size did I use for check raise? I used a 20. I think I go 20 again, or maybe even smaller. I go 20. I think 20 is good. But I probably go under 20 to use like the 999 theory that Peter Clark talks about. So I probably go like 19 bigs. What about you guys? If you have Jack 8 of hearts here, what size are you using?
Yeah, then I'll go really small.
Like 10?
No, like 1/3.
1/3? So what 1/3 is 15. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Let's see what Hero does. So Hero checked. We are just barely getting equity to call, aren't we? 8 outs. We're not there. We're just gonna, well, we got implied odds behind. This is really,
But
really
we're out of
close. We
position.
don't have as many implied odds because we're out of position. No. What are you guys doing here? I'm not sure. I think I probably call. But
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
I think I would call. I mean,
Yeah,
he might still have some flush draws. Mm,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
over
Yeah, I think
like
you're probably called to this sizing.
Queen Jack.
You're getting just a, you're getting, you're not quite you're missing pot odds by
Okay, yeah,
like
but
2 points.
if he has like
And also if he has
sorry.
queens and jacks,
Yeah,
which are definitely his range, you've got an overcard. Yeah, just call. Miss, check, give up. Yeah. I think Hero's play on flop was a little aggressive. But then I don't mind, he was very smart. He understood where he was and he'd shut down. Just tried to get there. All right, guys. I hope to hear from you tomorrow. You guys gonna join us tomorrow?
yeah,
I
probably
have
not.
work.
Okay, no worries, gents. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for 3 on hours. And we will, if we don't talk to you tomorrow, Richie, we'll hopefully talk to you next week.
Yeah,
Okay.
have a good one, all was fun. Thank
All
you
right,
both.
cheers, gents.
Cool.